Well, welcome back. We're back on a regularly scheduled here on TCH Live. That means Monday night 5-5 uncapped, no limit. Should be a fantastic game this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We've had our 5-year anniversary weekend with Assault for Y Academy coming through, and we're going to have another special guest here in the commentary booth, Mr. Chin Soto, Christian Soto, joining us here for commentary tonight. How we doing, buddy?
Man, this is going to be super exciting. I've never actually commentated one of the normal games here. Actually, this is my first time even in any of the games in the booth. But I know a couple of these guys. I know Dudley. I think we played a little bit last night, and of course I know Bart Hansen, who I briefly saw is on the table as well. But I'm excited for today. I think there's going to be a lot of action.
Yeah, it'll be a great fit for this. Like, obviously, with all the content that the guys put out, that it comes with, Poker Out Loud and just some of the training academy kind of stuff. It is just like riding a bike. It's a little bit different one, but we appreciate having you here.
Nah, I appreciate you guys letting me in here. So let's go.
There we go. So again, like you mentioned, Bart, we got Ukrainian Alex. Wadio. I've not seen him in the game here before. Well, a slow start here to the game as we're just getting underway. Again, if you want to drop a comment, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications. Continuing here to grow is about 6,640 subscribers, just about 2.5 months. And
Very
appreciate
good.
the support from everybody.
It's very good. So these are the starting stacks. Bart starts with 5,000. And
Yeah.
a couple of other middling stacks, 3K, and variable moving stacks throughout the table, 5,000 all the way down to like roughly 1,000.
Yeah, and that's they're going to have a bunch of people playing a lot of different ways based off of that. So, Bart with the biggest on the table. We'll see who else we get throughout the session. Always a high demand to get in these games, and I think after you guys came through here this weekend, everybody trying to find a realtor possibly moved to Austin, Texas for some pretty good action that was happening.
Yeah, those games got really big. It was 5-10, and then all of a sudden we were playing 5-10, 20, 40, 80. Then it got bigger than that, and now things cooled off a little bit. And this was an interesting play as Eli or Ellie?
Yeah, Eli.
Eli limps under the gun with the ace-king offsuit, gets ISO'd by Alex with ace-jack suited, and now he limps 3-bets after Master Kim calls from the small blind with queen-jack offsuit. A little bit of a loose call from Kim, but this is a really interesting spot for Alex. And I think that's a really good fold. Like, the reason is simply like that's a really big limp 3-bet, as well as the fact that he has to kind of think about, is this player limp 3-betting bluffs? Does he have hands like ace-5 suited? Does he have those kind of hands? And if he doesn't, then ace-jack suited is just like really not that great. And just you're pretty dominated against the value region of the limp 3-better. He just finds a really good fold. It's a lot of discipline. I don't know if
That's going to keep up the entire night. It is. I think I always say during this early part of these sessions, players are just getting calibrated.
Yeah, but they're really calibrated right now on these straddles. Look at
Look
this.
at this. They felt
The
inspired.
5, 5, 10, 20, 40s in the building already. All right, I think I got to go out there, man. I can't. Oh, no. Oh, no. They told me there wasn't going to happen today, but it's going.
There's many that have sat in that chair. I think, I just wish I was out there right now.
But this
I feel the
suit,
exact
just
same
like
way.
right off, like the second hand off the deck. No, this is great. All right, so let's see.
Including,
Yeah, we see a limp, and then it just like completes to the blinds. Bart can sometimes shoot this up. Completing is obviously very standard. So let's just see what happens here. I would have liked to see Kim just raise. I think that his hand just performs better that way. And now he's going to get cooled off. This is really unfortunate.
yeah, I think I would have loved the button raise in that spot, but
Yeah, your hand just like almost any hand that contains a deuce, if you want to come in, you should raise because it just doesn't play well through multiple streets. It doesn't it has very poor post flop maneuverability. And taking initiative is just going to be preferred. But now he just gets cooled off. In terms of what Bart could be check raising here as a bluff, like anything with a 4 or 5 in it is pretty good. Master Kim now just has to figure out how often Bart is doing that. So Bart needs hand maybe like 4-6 or 5-6, something like that.
And I don't generally think that's a move that he'll make often, but
Even a hand like 3-5 is pretty good. Those kind of hands that he might have, but it's up to Master Kim to figure out how often Bart is actually doing that.
now about 1,700 left is a turn of 10. Your pot building at 590, so okay. You're Bart right here in this spot. What are you sizing up at?
I think you want to be putting something like building the pot geometrically where you want to be all in by the river. So, like, let's say he bets like 400, gets called. That would be 1,300, that would be 1,300 in Kim's stack with roughly 1,300 in the middle, I think, if he calls. So that's a pretty good sizing, I think, in my opinion. It's going to set up roughly a 1 SPR river bet, which is pretty nice.
Bart Hansen, a Crush Live Poker, just trying to dodge a deuce here. We'll get a queen. His hand's still best.
This is pretty good run out. But the one issue that he does have is that his opponent needs to make, like, if he moves this in, his opponent needs to make a pretty big call off with like ace-9 off, like ace-9 suited, which is possible. So maybe he doesn't choose an all-in size.
It looks like about 525 or so.
This is okay. I mean, I see the purpose, and it's kind of what I was saying, in that if he chooses the all-in size, then his opponent really has to make a big call. The problem with this sizing, though, and
725, by the way, I'm sorry.
the problem with this sizing, in my opinion, is that I don't think Bart would bluff this way. And so this is a pretty exploitative bet size, which could be fine if he thinks his opponent's just going to overfold other hands. But like when he catches his opponent with like this kind of a hand and he calls, like we definitely missed out on some value there. Also, I mean, so it's just an exploitative size, which could be, you know, geared to getting called by like ace-9 and things like that, which is going to be the chunk of what Master Kim has. And I think Bart understands that, so he chose that size. In terms of like balance or things like that, I don't think Bart would ever choose that sizing as a bluff, but that could be okay as long as, you know, Master Kim just has a hand that he doesn't want to fold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a big fold by Matt Berkey in the game last night. And there's just so many hands you can go back here to the highlight reel. What was it like for you on it? I know the poker gods weren't exactly handing.
They didn't choose me. I had to fold Ace King to Bones, which was sad.
Yeah, that's always a hard one too. But you made the right decision.
Yeah. Fortunately, I mean, it was fun. Like it was fun. I was excited. It was the first time I ever put the $640 straddle on in my life. So
well, we're glad we were able to break that cherry for you.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun. It's just a lot of fun being on streams, and it was a great people, like people that wanted to gamble and wanted to play hands, and it was a very social environment. So the last two streams were really fun.
It seemed like it was a nice change of pace for you guys, just because you're used to the Vegas scene, the LA scene, and then it's just sort of like this is just such a maybe it's just such a deviation from how things are. I tend to be out there.
Yeah, it was. You know, everyone's trying to win, but it's such a great group of guys, like between Bones and Sage and Wesley and Westlake and you know, all these guys that we kind of became pretty friendly, and so it was a lot of fun for those reasons.
Well, top two here for Master Kim, but I don't know what he can bet here that can keep anybody in. He's got a bet of 75. Is probably just going to get 2 folds here from Coins. He's been on our streams quite a bit.
Coins. I saw a really nice car outside with the plates Coins, so I'm assuming that one is his. Now I know whose it is because
He does pretty well for himself. He's an avid coin collector as well. So
I thought it was.
I have no idea what his real name is. Maybe he doesn't want to be known.
I thought it was crypto. I was just like, man, okay, this guy really did well in crypto because his plate says coins.
That's kind of the new generation. You would kind of think that that'd be represented, but no, he's got the old school coins. He was tipping with like dollar coins for a while.
Cool,
So it's like this guy's committed, but. We appreciate your commitment here to our channel on TCH Live. Mike Emblett here with Christian Soto with Solve for Why. Been going through some of your content, some of the courseworks, but actually the hand classes one has been kind of eye-opening.
Well, thank you.
I was watching that one actually on the way up because I'm just like, these guys know so much stuff that I got to get caught up on. But
that's awesome, man. I really appreciate it. That one was one that was very highly recommended after I put it out, but it was also one of the ones that our members requested the most, where it was like, okay, how do I maneuver through multiple streets? How should I think about my hands? And so, yeah, I mean, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's so much that I've got to get through here just to get to kind of another level of thinking, not only just as a commentator, but just as a player, just to be able to realize that, boy, there's some really high-level thinking. And
it never ends, man. That's the scary part. Sometimes ignorance is bliss.
You're just sort of like, I'm in kind of my comfort zone, my own paradigms. It's like, okay, this makes sense, and then, you do a 3-hour stream with Matt Berkey, and you're like, I question everything I ever thought about this game. So
yeah, trust me, he's done that to me too. Don't worry.
Yeah, you're just like, there's another ridge beyond the ridge. But we got a guy, Chris, coming on in.
Yes, Chris Konvalinka. He's the freshman of the Solve for Why group. See how he does out here.
Yeah, he told me, he said he just pestered you nonstop until I think eventually he became a student. What was that like? Is that as
he came up to me at the win and was like, "Hey, I know you."
Do you get that a lot more now that you're like, "Hey, I know who you are"?
Yeah, but he was like young and hungry, and it reminded me a lot of like when I was like coming up and like pestered Berkey.
Yeah.
And was
like,
like,
hey,
hey.
I appreciate your stuff.
Yeah. But wow, that's a pretty tight fold there from Chris, I think.
Yeah, you can lay right into him. I try to be somewhat balanced as far as like, okay, I'm not gonna just rip people if I don't feel like I really understand this stuff. But you can just go.
No, I mean I think it was good timing because he would have faced resistance, but I think he can open the King 4 suited there into the blinds. Like the hand has pretty good properties. He has a suited king. The hand has some showdown value. It does barrel, and it's just like a pretty good steal. But maybe he just like didn't want to mix it up too early against these players. But I think the hand's pretty good. Fortunate for him, he didn't do it. Yeah, but he came up to me at the win and then just like said, "Hey, like I know you, etc." And I was like, "Hey, just text me. You seem like a pretty good guy." And then we became like pretty friendly after that.
Oh, that's good. You never know who you're gonna meet in this game.
Yeah, I think he got I think he got the better part of the deal. So here we see Alex raise, and he gets called. This is a pretty good board for Alex to bet. He has a gut shot as well as like the hand doesn't necessarily play too well through the checking line, but he faces resistance from a hand that I wouldn't necessarily expect. And now it looks like his opponent's going to try to bluff. And I think this is going to work because there isn't much Alex can do. He contains one of the cards that Coins would be using as a logical bluff. And Coins makes it happen.
No,
that was tricky.
Yeah, he's been kind of a tough one to figure out. I think for some players, he can be sticky in some spots, and
that's very
he can
sticky
make some
on
very
that.
loose calls, and like, yeah, that's one thing if you're that way. But I think the one thing that he's done better in our later streams is understanding his image and starting to kind of capitalize in spots like that.
Just get like very thin for value there with like a 9. Yeah, I think that's good. People like that are tough, especially for pros, because he's bluffing there with Ace-4 suited, and when you're trying to figure out people's like value range versus their bluff range and things like that,
yep.
And you can't really account for Ace-4 suited, so then it's just one of those situations where, like, if he goes running 4s, like you just like call because you're just like he can't ever have a 4. It doesn't make any sense. Or when you have like a hero call yourself, you just can't necessarily account for ace-4 suited being in his bluff range, so you might fold because he has no bluffs according to you.
Yeah, that can be some really weird spots to get put in. Because, I mean, like, you have some really high-level thinking. It's almost like you have to shut that valve off for a second and just play it very straightforward. And
Yeah, you know, how I like to do it is just like, okay, I don't know what he's making mistakes, and enough mistakes for me to call, and I don't want to break it down further than that.
all right. So now we got top pair here from Master Kim. Really, that's just about it here out of this board. Between
Coins can check raise his hand sometimes here if he wants. Especially if he thinks his opponents are overstabbing. See, he finds the float. I think this is a pretty good candidate to check raise. Like, if he makes it, right, like 135 or 140, it really puts Master Kim into a bind, because is he just going to stack off an 8? Like, maybe, but it's still tough.
Turn comes to 7. Maybe thought about betting there, but
It wouldn't be awful. He has he has a fair amount of 7s in his range. I think he has to bluff now. Like, he has really good properties. He has the 9 of hearts.
and not going to continue there. As 8 going to be good here for Master Kim. 5.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to see Coins bluff there. I think that he has, you know, he can have 9-10. He can have a flush, and he has a 9, that of which is a card that is blocking a flush. So, you know, it would have been a good one to see and see what Master Kim decides to do. He would have been in a tough spot.
That's the tough part about playing a lot of hands, too, is like it's just really tough to play them all particularly well. You're just going to have too many missed opportunities, and it just takes a little more skill level to consistently be able to find all those. Cause
Yeah, I like to, one of the ways to think about it is like try to marry your hands to other hands. So like when you have the 9 of hearts, like what other hands that contain the 9 of hearts would you have? And it would be like, he would have 9-10, he would have hearts, and all those hands bet the river. So since we contain the 9 of hearts, we should just like consider betting the river.
Limp here with Queen 10, and now raised up here by Dudley. We got George, the Bronstein Bomber, as we call him. And yeah, we got Bart Hansen here in the game tonight. So shout out to all the Bart's bros.
Man,
I'm trying to think of the nicknames for all the Bart's fans.
I don't know. That's a tough
We'll
one.
come up with one.
Yeah, I got to think about it.
The Hansen Fanatics. That's an interesting board there for Coins.
So Coins, yeah, that's a huge board for Coins. This probably is going to check. Whoa, Coins going to lead? This is actually not awful. When he flats the small blind, he's going to hit this pretty hard. He's going to have a fair amount of these. However, like if the board was a little bit different, maybe like Jack 10-7, something like that, I would like a lead a little bit more. But like, you know, the double Broadway boards that don't contain an ace are going to hit the small blind pretty hard because they usually have a concentration of like, you know, suited Broadways, pairs, and suited aces a fair amount.
Again, drop on into the chat, hit us with a like, touch that subscribe button. Mike Kimball here with Christian Soto here for 5-5 on campus. We've got Chris, we've got Bart, we've got Ukrainian Alex. They're in seat number 1. He's a pretty tough player himself. But
Ukrainian Alex, he's tough, man. He played a 4-bet pot with 5s. You know, he doesn't mess around.
yeah, doesn't say a whole lot, but when he's in there, heck of a pool player too. So.
He said yesterday, he was like, that was sick. That's what he said.
Pretty nice dude too. So we've got Eli 3-betting here with ace jack off, and now you're looking at 7s out of position, and
Probably interesting. It's a little loose. I would think a player like him is mostly 4-betting or folding these kind of hands from these positions, but looks like he's mixing in a call. Some of the from the call here, I think he has to either think that his opponent is like extremely strong, that he just like always felts it when he hits a 7, or he thinks he's able to over-realize significantly by his opponent like just checking back too often and not finding the appropriate bluffs on future straights. I assume this. Wow, this is very interesting.
I think he knows these are kind of opponents maybe that he can make these kind of plays with that ordinarily I think in some more 5-5 games you're just running into another 4-bet or you're getting pushed
Yeah,
out
like,
of it,
it-
or you're going to get outplayed out of position.
Right, if you're thinking about, like, if we're talking, like, equilibrium or anything like that, like, this play does not exist because he just can't represent enough strong hands on this kind of a board. And he's just going to get, like, messed with by any decent player. This is actually a really tricky card for him because he shouldn't necessarily expect his opponent to have an 8. Also, like, his specific 7s block 7-8 directly. So, for example, like 7-8 of spades and 7-8 of hearts no longer exists right now, which forces him to bet again, and now he's in a tricky spot.
Yeah.
This is so annoying.
Yeah, he's got like $10 more to call as I think he'll make it.
The call, yeah.
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 All right, so we're running here to the river, 3 of a kind, 8s is
I don't. I mean, I understand that he's just betting for capitalization of the pot, but on the turn when he bets, it's very unlikely he gets called by worse, and he never gets better to fold. So it's just a spot where I think that
Oh, but maybe he
my
just knew
God.
the 7 was coming anyway. So
You know, what the hell do I know? I mean, this is crazy. Yeah, I mean,
get it in bad and just hit a 7. That's but
Yeah, I mean,
that was
it
a
was-
really interesting hand though, just from all the vantage points.
yeah, it was interesting because I expected him to be the type of player that would 4-bet or fold there, at least from the brief thing that I played. But yeah, I mean, it was a tricky spot. Like, I don't want to be like overly critical about it. I think
Yeah.
I think that he thought he had the best hand on the flop, and he bet because of that for denial purposes. And then on the turn, he directly blocked 7-8 and said, okay, I still think I have the best hand, so I'm going to bet. And then unfortunately for him, he didn't have the best hand, but he found the 7. So
Yeah, and when it kind of goes raise 3-bet call, like I mean, there's a chance he could have maybe like an ace-5 in there too. That okay, maybe he floats him with the flop, and he decides not to.
yeah, it could
that
happen
clear
for sure. For sure.
It's
But that's what I
kinda
mean. What I meant, like, when he bets again, he's never going to get called
Right.
by worse. He just wins when he has the best hand,
It's good stuff
which is
here.
probably what he was aiming for. But then he just, like, ran into it.
5-5 on capped here. Some action going on here in our main room. A 1-3 match, the big stack game going on, along with our 5-5 game. We'll have
That's a
tournament
good
later
game.
tonight.
The 1-3 match the biggest stack's a good game.
It has been. Yeah, people have that perception like 1-3 only, and it's just like it just doesn't play that way.
No, it's a big game. It's much bigger than people say. So Chris gets snap 3-bet right away.
Welcome to the game, you're a young guy.
So we don't get to see what Chris has just yet. It's ace-jack offsuit.
Yep.
He's getting a 3-bet from the big line. He's probably just going to fold.
I'm sorry, it went fold, call. And then it was raised to 100.
Let's see what Master Kim has if we get to see it.
Yeah, you might have to put that one back down on the felt. Three bets up to
105, I believe, was the number. So it was a pretty good sized 3-bet there. Chris opened to 20, got called, 3-bet to 105. Master Kim shows the 4. Oh, no. Oh, no.
yes. Welcome to the game, there, Chris.
Oh, no.
Yeah, a lot of people. Once I kind of got out of the booth last night, I really didn't get to like listen to the stream as I was far, but you know, all the comments were like, "Yeah, this Chris guy's really smart," and I'm like, "No, it's very good." So
Yeah.
Kim Barton had a
He's definitely very bright. That one of the reasons why I don't want to say I took him under my wing, but like I coached him for a long time was because I thought he was exceptionally smart and young enough where like his ceiling was really high.
right.
Where it was like he doesn't have a lot of expenses. Like it's just
It's just the right
Yeah.
kind of guy to take
Right.
on that you're like, okay, you've got a lot of time to be able to absorb all the stuff.
exactly
That you have to.
exactly. And there's not like a rush for him to like earn right away.
Yeah,
He
you
can
get
fold-
through your 20s. You're pretty cheap as far as little baggage or
Yeah.
anything. It's just sort of like, okay, well, if you want to go all in on something,
It's like he has enough time to keep folding ace jack offsuit. He's
You're like, yeah, you probably have to give him a little sidebar on that. Say, hey, what was up with that? Again, say hello to everybody in the chat. You guys been killing it. We appreciate all your support. There's 773 here between Dudley.
Yeah, this is a spot where Dudley wants to mostly bet for protection. There's a lot of overs that can kill his action. I like this sizing. Pretty good, roughly 40% pot, a little under. And he's going to get some resistance here. Pretty good. You don't necessarily want to always check raise the threes that contain an over to the 7. So like you can maybe check raise some other threes. Like if somehow he had like 5-3 suited or something like that, those would be a lot more check raisable, quote unquote, because you don't contain an over. But when you contain an over, you need a little bit less protection. So check calling is a little bit better. But now facing another small bet, I think I might just call again. This hand's playing pretty standard so far.
Heads up here to the river. Dudley just trying to avoid a 3 or a king, and 5 on the end is.
I think you just bet again and try to get value from like ace highs. I think there's a fair amount of ace highs from your opponent. You also get called by like 6s. Something like a block bet's probably really natural here. So 125. This is good.
Man, right on the money.
3 no longer plays, so.
No, Wado is. No, if it's Wadillo, Wado. Wado? Okay.
That 5 doesn't come, I call it.
Developing a new face here to our 5-5 game. And doing another show 1 here tonight.
I think it's good for the game.
Especially like on the stream of the fact that I think a lot of the players can be able to see it like 20 minutes after the fact. So you at least still get a little bit of time to try to get some mind game stuff going on there. But all y'all are generally pretty tough and smart, so I don't think it rattles anybody. But it is kind of another fun element as far as, yeah, just something out of the norm that keeps people interested.
It keeps the people more engaged, which I think is really nice.
Yeah, that's kind of tough part is, I think, with people with the earphones and, you know, they got iPads to be able to just kind of watch whatever. Like, that's the thing that's kind of discouraging when I think you get in a card game and it's, you know, 9 guys on their phone, or 9 ladies here. And it's just like, you know, nobody's talking, nobody's BSing, and, you know, everybody's got their hoods on, sunglasses. Like, come on, this game's also supposed to be fun, too. Like, it's...
Why are you talking about Alex like that? That's not cool.
Alex will have a fun time with you off the table. So
yeah.
That's...
Looks like Alex is going to raise it up to 25. He's going to get a field of defenders. I don't see George. Oh, well, George did fold the A7 suited earlier. All right, so he's going to call this one. That's going to bring in coins, and we're going 5 way to the flop.
5, yeah. Just ordinary night here at Texas Courthouse, 5 ways. 5-3, so we got an open ender here for George.
Yeah, he could get a little aggressive here. It's tough in 5-way pots, though, to get aggressive, and especially when your 7 isn't, like, directly clean. But he's gonna wait, this Dudley
coming on here first. But I decided I was gonna go bluff into 4 other players and with over cards.
It's gonna work. I don't think George can. I mean, I guess George can defend. Yeah, I mean, he has an open end. I mean, this is weird. I'm not sure what Dudley's trying to accomplish here, but George can't fold. Coins is going to flick it in as well. Okay, so we're going 3-way to the turn. Wow. But Dudley's outs are clean, which is now everybody's at 0%. Yeah. This is a really good card for George, just simply because he shouldn't expect too many folds now. Like 8x of clubs is going to continue, 6x of clubs is going to continue, almost any 6 is going to continue. He should expect some 2 pairs to be around. So, like, this is a spot where, like, his opponents have an inelastic turn range where, like, he could just size pretty big here and expect almost no folds from the ranges that call.
I like that. And nobody more elastic than coins, but
Right. So like, I think this size is good. Effectively, his opponents have hands that often just don't fold when they don't fold. Like, it doesn't matter if he chooses like 125 or 400. Those hands are gonna either fold or call, which are gonna be hands like 8x of clubs, 6x's, 2 pair, etc.
Bronstein Bomber making a straight. Nice spot at $950 here early on. If you got any questions, actually, here for Christian in the chat. I mean, like, legitimately, like, good questions, by all means. Drop us a line. Try to see if we get a good, clean answer. So many people to say hello to. So, building kind of a loyal audience of familiar faces. So
Yeah.
it's just cool to see the enthusiasm continue to grow around the game of poker here in today's age. I think that's probably the nice part about, from your vantage point and for all the kind of streams that exist, that there's just got to be a way to reach some of the same people that were when you and I came up, where it was the Chris Moneymaker time, that so many were just like, this is awesome. I got to learn how to play this stuff. And
I mean, that still exists. Like those people are still out there. Coins with the Queen 7 of clubs, not shying away.
Here to gamble and have fun. It's just not quite as wild and crazy of a game, so it sort of feels like I've been racing around the Indy 500 track, and then now you just come back.
Trust me, today Chris was like, "How much do I need?"
Yeah.
I'm like, relax.
No,
It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be the
it's not gonna be a
same.
broken
Yeah.
game. Like, this is,
I was like, just relax, man. He's like, I need like 10,000.
yeah, like,
I'm like, no, you don't.
I
was like, it's not gonna be that group again. So flop checks through, and Coins is gonna bet on the turn.
a small pot there. Sometimes keep the. You ever heard the Super Mario Coins sounder? Every time, yeah. If he gets a big one, sometimes we'll fire that one up. But that kind of pot, we don't waste our time for
It's
it.
like you have to jump and get the coin, hit the little brick on the top.
Exactly. So here again, TCH Live, Mike Youngblood here with Christian Soda. If you've got any questions here that I think, hey, maybe either relative to hand or strategy.
That's
Maybe.
fine with me. I'm all for it today. The double straddle's on now.
Yes. All right. Yeah, the 10 to 20. There we go. Alex up with the raise.
Usually on the double straddle, you can open a little bit smaller than like normal. So, 3x is fine. I think you could even go like 2.5x if you want, because the effective stack sizes are cut so significantly that opening smaller is just it's fine.
Coins in there here with Queen 9 as Wado also there with King Jack suited.
I like for Wado. I think you could mix in 3-bets here, especially on a table like this that's like rather splashy and coins also in the pot that's gonna like flick it in a fair amount. I think mixing in some 3-bets, getting heads up with a hand class like this is like pretty good. Flatting's also gonna make money, so either plays fine. I think you just have to do both sometimes.
Yeah, it's, like you said, if you only 3-bet when you've got just fantastic
Yeah.
hands, like nobody's gonna. I mean, eventually people will pick that up. And
But it also just puts hands like 9s into a tough spot. Like when you open in the first position, get 3-bet by the person immediately to your left, you have to start playing 9s defensively, and you're going to shut out that equity on certain boards. 9s is just going to find overfolds. And then King Jack suited always realizes it's full equity, where it's just going to see the river and you get to decide how often you win or not. Like, for example, if we would have 3-bet, maybe he bets the flop, maybe he doesn't. But like the times he bets the flop, he gets to see the full run out, and maybe that queen is now a jack or a king, and he wins the pot. Or he bets the queen, and his opponent believes him, and then 9s fold, etc. But like when you flat, you just immediately fold your equity on the flop, which isn't great. I thought you were laughing at what I was
No,
saying.
no, no, no.
I'm just messing with
Just a little gasp, I think, of a cough there. Maybe it's the fact that Coins hit that queen and
you. Hit him with the
it's
min
like,
raise.
oh my goodness, a violent reaction from my body there.
These spots are tough simply because Alex has to assume that Coins isn't check raising as a bluff here. So it's like, if he's not check raising as a bluff, does he have worse value? And Alex thinks yes, but unfortunately for him, he's going to be showing a queen. Yeah,
Queen nine just seems to be the hand on this table that people float with. That is, I don't know if there's some unsung story behind it or not, but I've been seeing it more and more lately. But I've got nothing to actually have like proof of that. Just maybe some hearsay as
the queen nine is just you just see it often.
yeah. It's
like, oh,
somebody
queen-
had said it. I think I can't remember which one of the commentators that we've had through. Maybe it was Matt Lou that was just like, yeah, queen nine's the hand, and it's like, okay,
Queen-
I'll believe it if you say so. But
Well, if Matt Lou's saying it, he puts in all the hours here, so he's right.
yeah, you guys actually kind of finally took a chunk out of him. He's been
I
just
was
kind of
a-
running over some of these games, and finally,
He was running really good, and
yeah, he's a
I
good
mean, it's
player,
gonna
so
swing.
you
No, no,
combine
for sure.
those, it's-
Oh yeah, I didn't mean that as a
Yeah.
no. He's running. It's tough when good players run well as well. It's like that's a deadly combination.
Absolutely, yes. Got Alex raised up here with.
No, he's the straddle.
Oh, okay, you're right.
The double straddle's on again.
There you go.
That's
So
how
you
it
guys been
starts.
inspiring our future streams.
For the double straddle.
Yeah, they're just like, come on, I want to have fun out here too. This doesn't look that volatile.
It is though.
Yeah, that can add up pretty quick because
Yeah, once the double straddles come on, all of a sudden things
like,
start getting interesting.
once you put that 640 on and then you saw the look in Westlake's eyes, it's like I don't even think he knows what hand he has. It's just like shark in the water right there. Let's.
Chris
that,
folds.
that was probably the craziest hand that we've had. I mean, there's always going to be ridiculous.
It was a
ones,
good
but
week.
That was just as it happened. You're going, these guys are going for it tonight. This is quality programming.
Yeah, it was a good week for content. It was a great week for content. It's like, oh, the 640 just went on? Did they just put on the 640?
Yeah.
And then after that, everything just became very reasonable for us. It was
Yeah.
like, oh,
It
let's
was
just
just like,
let's
we
just
went
leave
too
the
far
80.
here, guys.
Yeah, let's just leave the 80 on. I mean,
Yeah.
per minute.
Well, we don't know what Eli coins have. And
So Eli was the original 3-better, and then it went cold call and then call. Now Mr. Kim flops the gut shot. Eli probably wants to keep betting here. Looks like 225, somewhat of like a catch-all sizing. Gets snapped. I think
now I'm trying to guess whatever coins his hand is.
maybe he has Queen 9. If he has
Yeah,
Queen
maybe
9,
it's Queen 9 again.
then it is. That's what it is.
No reason to give that hand up, or it could have floated like a King 10. It's
Wow, coins just ripped? Oh,
Yeah,
never
it's-
mind. Never mind.
yeah, it's
He tracked, and now I think that Eli's representing a pretty strong range if he barrels again. Simply because he 3-bet pre, bet into 2 players on the flop, and now he's barreling one more time. Like, this is very consistent with some overpairs. He could have some hands. Well, no. It's unlikely he has hands like King Queen and Queen Jack, just simply because the sizing he chose on the turn. Like, he's committed to bet calling now. Meaning that if he had a hand like King Queen, he would probably just shove because he doesn't necessarily want to bet, get shoved on, and then forced to call.
yeah, probably an overpair can kind of make
Right.
sense here on the spot, but be
Right,
very
he-
surprised if it wasn't Queens.
It's very likely he's okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's very likely he's value weighted just simply because of the way that turn sizing was picked.
Chris Convalenka with the Salt for Y Academy, and the on the table, Bart Hansen, Crush Live Poker as well. Some newer faces, some older faces, but the action's still continuing here at 5-5 Uncapped. we've been just kind of in a nice groove here, so we'll turn the sidebar eventually to some questions, but
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm up for a lot of questions,
Yeah.
a little bit of questions.
I just don't want to answer
more
like,
gameplay.
like things that are really like a standard like bankroll questions, and I just like I.
They got it.
You can find
You're
good
challenging
resources
them.
for
You're
that, and I'm
challenging
like-
them to come up with more.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. You're like,
That's a unique one, or one that either might make you laugh or. Jay Bluffett wanted to ask you about the ace and Sage had against Berkey. That Berkey, well, Sage wound up showing an ace and wound up giving up a flush to a full house on the end.
so we can discuss that whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Why don't we?
Okay, so
segue into-
so the hand plays out like this. Berkey opens Queen 8 suited and gets 3-bet by Sage. He calls. Right, that's already debatable. Whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, the flop comes down where it's, I believe, the turn was a 5. So it was 6-5, 10. So 10-6-5 potentially. And the flop goes check, check. Turn comes a 5 of diamonds, giving Berkey a backdoor flush draw. And Berkey bets. He chooses like a catch-all sizing of like roughly half pot. Now Sage raises. Once that happens, we have to just assess like, okay, what is Sage going to check back the flop with that is incentivized to check back the flop and then raise the turn? And how often is that line bluffed? And the first thing is that line is heavily underbluffed. Like people don't check back flop and then raise turn as a bluff often enough. So we have to already discount, that region of hands significantly, as well as the fact that Berkey has the key cards that are blocking Sage's bluffs. So Sage very likely has value. So the hands that are incentivized to check back the flop, that of which are value, are going to be overpairs that don't need as much protection. So aces and kings, and maybe some sets like top set, right? Now Berkey calls, assuming that he has a fair amount of implied odds against some of the overpairs. Now the river's an ace. Now Berkey checks, and what he told me privately was like, okay, if a diamond does come, I'm very likely to lead. However, the ace of diamonds is a very special card because he can't lead the ace of diamonds because his opponent won't have anything to call with that's worse, right? Like if Sage has pocket kings, he's just very unlikely to pay off now. So now Berkey chooses to check. Now Sage chooses a polarizing river sizing, which is not conducive to what his range actually wants to do, in our opinion, simply because he doesn't have too many bluffs this way. And when you don't have a lot of bluffs, you can't necessarily polarize the river that way. So Sage chooses close to like 80 to 85% pot, which is not conducive with what his range wants to do. I think his range wants to choose closer to a catch-all sizing, something like 40 to 50%. That of which I think Berkey pays off immediately and doesn't necessarily tank. Now Berkey goes in the tank because he's understanding that on the turn, like the whole line is just playing out as if Sage has value. And when he chooses the polarizing sizing, matched with a range that doesn't want to choose the polarizing sizing, then he's just weighted towards heavy value. And now we just have to give him like aces, ace-5 suited, or 10s full. Now, when Sage shows a card, and he shows a card that unlocks ace-5 suited still being available,
Really?
it just makes it a very easy fold. Not because he has aces available, but he also has ace-5 suited because the ace he showed was unlocked ace-5 suited still being available. He still had 2 full combos of ace-5 suited in his range, which now leaves aces in 6 combos, ace-5 suited in 2 combos, and that's already 8 combos of value, that of which Berkey can't find the appropriate bluffs to match that, to make it a call, so that he folds.
Yeah, I mean, did the fact that he showed a card make any difference in the decision?
It was much easier to fold. Just because the ace he had did it, like the ace he had, unfortunately for him, and I'm sure Sage wasn't, it's hard to think like that in game, but the ace he had unlocked ace-5 suited, which is really bad for him to show.
paid like $40 per second.
It was great TV to watch. I was having a couple. I just put down my drink and go, "Oh my god,
Literally was like
this is happening right now." Like, this
Yeah, it was
is
wild.
And I just figured, I'm like, oh, I think anybody else, you're getting a call on that spot. He's not human. I think he might be developed in a lab using AI. Starting to wonder. It seems like two. No, I'm not kidding. But we got kings and queens and ace jack going on right here as.
Yeah, this is interesting. He's gonna limp 4-bet.
Yeah.
I think at that point, Kings has to just call. Like, once this comes in, I think Kings should just call this bet and then play appropriately on flops. I think if Kings puts in a 5-bet, Queens could just fold. Chris is going to be like, wow, okay. If it's too nerdy when I explain the hands, just tell me to.
No,
And I'll
no,
just
no.
I'll water it. I'll just be like, listen.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll just simplify it. Bet big chips. Boom. He have better hand. Like, we don't need to go that.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think now King should just call. Your opponent has value clearly, but if you put in a 5-bet, it's very likely that we just. I like this. Just call. Very good.
Here we go. Queens versus kings. That's
If he has jacks, he's very likely to just check back the flop. Once bets start going in post, you can find like some big folds, like a big fold, because your opponent, I think your hand wants to 3-bet at a very high frequency. Just shutting out the equity of the blinds, charging your opponent to continue.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Here we've got the countdown restarted. This had to reboot the stream. Yeah, that's the awesome thing about technology is even when we want it to work, yeah, little bumps in the road. We're back here with Christian Soto, the Solve for Why Academy. As if you guys have questions that you want to have specifically answered, whether it be personal, poker, but by all means, this is opportunity. So. All right, so I saw the last vlogcast, which was terrific between you and Max. You had to really kind of man up and attest and speak to the people as far as what's been the response after the fact? Are people just like, oh, okay, I get it now, or
Yeah, I got so many messages, and it was a tough vlogcast to watch back. I actually haven't even watched it. I just put it out there to the world and like left it there. I didn't watch it back, but I had a lot of people message me and just say like, hey man, like. That took a lot of courage, and we understand. It's like we've all been there. Like we understand, like what was going on, and like we've all taken chances and shit, and it didn't work out. But yeah, I felt it was something that I needed to say because I wasn't on the vlogcast anymore. I wasn't really I was just like trying to do my own thing, and then it didn't work. So the response was very positive. Of course, like I'm still kind of getting over the whole thing. So. It was, but this is why I really enjoyed the trip to Austin because it was like, okay, well, we're going to LA, and then after that we go to Austin, which was like a nice like kind of reboot for me.
Yeah, it's good to get in a different environment, just kind of rekindle the fire, and just get yourself recommitted to the cause. Because I mean, I can't imagine how exhausting all the stuff is, especially when you're trying to handle something in a personal life and. The business side, and if like one gets out of whack, and then all of a sudden the other's kind of affected. So, how you hanging in there? Feeling better now, or is?
I mean, it's still rough, obviously, but it was one of those things where it's like, okay, well, now I have a lot more time to dedicate to my craft, and it's what I really love to do. So it's one of those things that I'm now like, okay, well, I have a lot of time to play poker. I have a lot of time to build my company, with Berkey and stuff, and now it's like. Well, this is my passion. So at the end of the day, I still have that. And honestly, a lot of people said this too, where it was like, hey man, like I would, I don't know how much graphic I want to say. But like
go for it.
They would just say like, hey man, I would give my left nut to be in the spot you're in. So don't worry about it.
You get that kind of like a sense of appreciation. Cause, I mean, everybody's got problems. It's just a matter of like, is it a real problem or is it an ego problem or is it an energy problem?
Right.
And it's just like what you can kind of withstand. So. Yeah, there's probably some dating coaches out there that can teach you some stuff out there in Vegas. That
I might have to hire
out there
one,
just being able to give you some great. I mean, I followed different stuff for like 10 years, so I went from a guy who was a chump to like, okay, I can open carry a conversation. It may not go the way that I want it to per se, but. Dating is a bit like a poker game by itself, so it's.
And then I think I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine, dude. There's no doubt about it. It's always just. Okay, here we're Christian Soto of the Solve for Why Academy. Here's we reboot the stream here in our 5-5 on cap game. So, all right, tell us about your path into poker. Then, like you.
So I was playing. I kind of said this on the podcast yesterday. It's one of those things where a lot of people call themselves like moneymaker baby, or like something like that. I think personally, for me, I was like like Tom Dwan baby, like a Dwan baby. Because like he was
that
the
was
one,
the next kind of generation.
Yeah, I was. It was that next wave where it was like, oh, poker's really popular, and there's this kid on TV who's playing for like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he's young and from New Jersey, and I'm from New Jersey, and like that looks cool. And at that point, I was like, I knew that I was never gonna play like basketball or any sports for a living because like at that point,
you're like,
and it's like okay, well maybe I can play some cards. That seems pretty cool. And then I just like went online and like I wasn't and like tried to play on like full tilt at the time, but I was terrible.
I think that.
But I won like the Midnight Madness or something like that for like maybe like 10K or maybe more.
Oh yeah, the daily doubles. I used to love playing those. Oh.
So it was like it started at 12 a.m. and then it ended like 9 a.m. or something crazy. And the next day I was just like firing like $500 hyper turbo heads up, and just busted everything, like
So then it took me so long to be able to get this, and now it's shattered right off.
And then I was like, oh, okay, like you have to actually take care of money. But then that was like, okay, I really love poker. I started playing some underground games around town, and those stories are funny too because I was like super broke. I probably had like $500 to my name, and I would like sit with 300. And I remember,
No, that's always the most nerve-wracking feeling.
yeah,
of
no,
life.
I tanked with aces pre-flop because I was
Ugh.
so scared. I mean, I was young.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like
I mean,
nothing.
it's-
I was like 19 years old, you know,
Yeah.
where it's like $300. It's like, oh my God, if I lose this.
I-
And the guy's like all in, and I'm like tanking. And I'm
I
just
don't
like,
know.
oh,
It's
and he's
just-
asking me questions like, what do you have? Do you have queens? Do you have
Kings, yeah,
and I
ace
keep
king.
answering no, and I'm like, I say, I think you're just gonna hit a flush. Like,
It's just weird how people
Yeah.
operate that way. It's just a presumptive like loss. No
yeah,
matter,
yeah.
like-
So I called, and then he has ace king suited, and I'm just like, you see, you could hit a flush.
yeah, exactly.
I could just only imagine how this guy
Negative
felt.
thinking that just
So-
happens.
If that guy's out there, I'm so sorry, man. Like I didn't mean to slow roll.
Somebody out there, some guys like at the end of the bar, just soda, just slow roll.
Slow roll
basis.
soda. Slow roll soda. That's his
asshole,
name.
just-
Piece of shit.
Kind Butts asked, Chin, where do you and Burke play on a normal basis? So
I play at the Win and at Bellagio. 510 uncapped at the Win and 1020, 40 at the Bellagio. Berkey plays in more like the private setting. So you probably like some 25-50 private now with
Yeah.
Kitty or you know JRB's game, which is nosebleeds. Like
yeah.
that's not even in human land.
Yeah, it's hard to quantify it. Like, yeah, this is just absurdity. But hey, we're back. Here's some action right there for you. Again, if you guys have any questions that we can intermingle throughout the night, by all means, drop us a line. Hit that like button, leave us a comment, smash the subscribe, and turn on notifications. So,
So Chris is actually the button, I believe. Given that I see the button in front of him, so he raised,
okay, there we go.
yeah, and he's gonna get called by the blinds, and I think probably Master Limp is the limper. Master Kim is the limper, and this is gonna lead from coins. Why am I seeing things weird? Okay, so this flop checks around, and now coins is gonna bet. That's correct. He's probably gonna face some resistance from top pair ace 9.
Getting everything rebooted here. It's kind of like firing up your old Windows 95 computer. Like it's everything's just kind of catching up. Well,
I think ace 9, obviously we missed a fair amount of this hand, but I think ace 9 on the river when coins checks probably needs to bet. It beats all the other 9s. Your opponent could just have like an 8. He could have like black 6s that doesn't believe you. It's just like a fair amount of hands that there is available there. As for Chris, I think I'm like okay with him checking back the flop, but like on a monotone board there, I think you could just bet and just figure out that like your opponents also have some difficulty continuing on a monotone board. It also does allow your hand to like bet sometimes because like you unblock some of your opponent's call fold range. That's just like a single spade. So like when you don't have a spade, you could sometimes just bet and just like go for it.
oh, look at this here. We've got jacks just smooth calling the raise from Dudley, and then a 3-bet here with 8-6 suited.
I think coins mostly wants to 4-bet or fold. You don't always want to 4-bet this hand. A fair amount of times you want to 4-bet like the suited variety of this hand. So like ace queen suited, ace jack suited, ace 10 suited, maybe some king queen suited. It's going to allow you to like control your frequencies when you pick the suited variety. But 4-betting this hand at a very low frequency is fine. Calling isn't like preferred, but this guy
Yeah,
has
he's-
8-6 suited, so we can't just like always fold ace queen. you know?
Right. Yeah, he's never been one to really 4-bet some of these games, and I don't know if that's just another gear that you know, like Berkeley just talks about. People are very
Risk
averse, and that it's just
Yeah, it's like
it maybe it's just something that you get so used to habitually that all of a sudden it just feels like dangerous waters if you try to expand your game in some of these matters.
well, it's also just a matter of not fully understanding how the hands perform like in a range versus range scenario, where it's like ace queen suited as a cold call, it just doesn't perform that well in a three-way pot, and it's just better to just 4-bet, force your opponent into the defensive node of the tree, and force him to just have hands to continue. Because when has 8-6 suited, he just folds. Or if he calls, that's fine too. You know.
Looks like the action pretty much got checked through as Kings
Yeah.
and fours with an ace good here for coins.
Nice hand coins.
Bard answering Crush Live Poker, sitting with about 5,600. Dudley had a Queens versus King's hand earlier that he flopped a set on and got paid. And
I like coins. Coins is my guy right now.
yeah, it's just a very, very, very nice dude. So it's. Yeah, I think that was probably the thing you probably noticed a lot about the personalities in the room. Not a lot of a-holes. I mean, they're sprinkled about, but for the most part, yeah, Texas is pretty good, decent people around here.
I like it. I think the group is just like this room. Come on, Chris, open it. Come on.
Ah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
have a talk.
we have
with you.
to walk
Listen,
right out
man.
of this room.
I get it. It's not in the book.
Alex is going to race here on the button with ace deuce.
I like this raise. Probably a little bit big, but it's fine.
Looks like
Oh, coins limped. Okay, I see why he went a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Chris would have flop top pair. Just gonna throw that out there for when he replays this.
Just letting you know. Not saying, just saying.
Alex probably wants to bet here for protection. There are some hands that he gets called by that are worse, but also just like winning the pot immediately is pretty nice. When he doesn't win the pot immediately, he has bottom pair trip draw, which is a very strong draw in no limit hold'em that people underestimate. The bottom pair trip draw is very disguised nut hand when it comes in.
All right. So again, welcome back here after a brief little delay. Just we had to unplug our modem and plug it back in, hold it for 5 seconds. Just thinking of all the other things that you had to do is try to get the internet ready. Like,
We just gave people a chance to, you know, like say like, oh, they're really gonna stream tonight. Oh, okay, let me go get some.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me go get some food. Let me get my snacks. And then they came back. They didn't miss anything. It was a
Yeah.
courtesy.
yeah, we gave you a little breather right there, just so you know, if you want to go to your Uber Eats or
That's what
like,
it was.
hey man, I gotta go order pizza and sit down with this. All right, we got coins up here with a race at 35. Oh, there's Alex with ace king.
He's not missing this one. I know that. People from Ukraine don't miss ace king.
Oh, man. Don't mess with the Ukraine period. So
I don't know if he's Ukrainian. I think
Yeah,
he
yeah,
is.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure he
I've
is.
known him for a
I didn't
while.
want to call him something he wasn't.
yeah. Well, I mean, I've known this even since I grew up because I grew up with Russians and Ukrainians. Like they get very mad if you get that wrong because it is a completely different style of culture.
This is a tough spot now for coins. I think he could lose a fair amount of chips. We're probably going to see like 125 or something from Alex. He's digging a little deeper.
Might be 250.
175. A little big in terms of like what most people would do here, but it looks like he's getting check raised. 350. I guess he just calls now. Seems like a very natural path. Just call, you beat a lot of hands. Only logically speaking, you only lose to ace 5, ace 6, 5s and 6s. Ace 5 and ace 6 suited, but we can't only give him the suited variety because it is coins. Check is a great sign for Alex. I don't know what the turn is just yet, but I did see coins check.
Loading.
So that's good.
Loading.
I assume if he's shutting down, we're probably seeing. I
Probably
guess
a heart,
that has
I
to be
think.
a heart. There's the only way. Yeah.
No, I guess it was a red card. But every time I've tried to guess these things, I've been 100% wrong, and I keep trying. And
I'm unsure why that turn goes check. I guess Alex thinks that coins is just as bubbles. At this point, I think Alex wants to bet pretty big.
I mean, he could maybe just be thinking maybe he flopped like top and bottom, and he said, "What do I need to try to put myself in a check race. It's very rare. I think you get check race twice in a row. It is beautiful whenever you see it, but it's
Yeah. I would have liked to see Alex bet the turn. Just if your opponent has a bluff, most of his bluffs are going to be equity dead, so it'll be something like 8-9, 8-7 hearts with a pair. Like let's say he turned like some deuce X of hearts combo, something like that, and maybe 5X of hearts or something like that. And it's just like charging the equity of his draws, as well as like sometimes you're just up against ace queen, which is obviously rare, but betting, remaining uncapped, and forcing your opponent to defend versus that bet is probably just going to make more money, especially if Coins is not bluffing the river at the frequency in which you think he is. So if he's just like checking hearts and not barreling the river when they miss, then we're just missing a lot of value, as well as not capitalizing on the times he doesn't bluff. He just gets to realize the full extent of his equity.
So Coins limps here with a king 7 off, and then we get a
ace
raise up here by Alex. Did I see a fold of ace queen in there?
Yeah,
I think
that's a little
that's
a
a
little tight.
little on the nittier side, but
It's a little tight. I think you could very profitably call. Like you don't always have to 3-bet. I think that was Dudley that folded.
yeah.
I think
Maybe in
you
the
could
small
just-
blind, I think. Was,
You could just call. Like you're 3,000 deep with Chris, and you have effective, and you could just like flick in the call, like and play the pain. You could also 3-bet, but if you don't want to 3-bet, calling's going to make money as well.
Yeah, Mike Campbell here with Christian Soto. They solved for Y Academy. Founder, you're the official
Yeah,
founder.
yeah, yeah.
Like I know it's.
I know they all think it's Berkey's thing,
And
right?
you're like, no, buddy. I started this thing. We came along for the ride, but it's
It's okay.
it's,
Some people make money in the background, you know, and I'm
that
fine
is
with it. It's
a good way of looking at it.
It's
you
like,
can get a lot done if you don't worry about who gets credit for stuff.
Yeah,
in this
it's
world,
just like,
so.
yeah, man, Berkey's the man. I agree, Berkey's the man. That's why I got into business with him.
Yeah, that would have been. Did you jump right through the ceiling once you guys started to do the partnership? You're like, you want to get involved? Oh, yeah. Where can I have you sign?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so top pair here for Bart.
This is a pretty nice hand. I'm not sure if Bart was the okay. So this was a limp pot. He's betting here. Yeah, it's pretty nice. He has a gut shot to the straight. He has top pair. He can bet call. I think that Eli wants to defend here. He has a hand that can also check raise. However, when you have 2 overs to the top pair, you don't have to always check raise as much.
5 comes 0 on the turn. I could see
He
it go
could-
check here as.
Eli can sometimes bet this as a lead. He has some hands like 5-6. He has 5-7, things like that.
Oh, gets it here on the end.
I think he wants to
10s.
block bet this river. Okay, 50 is a little big, but like fine. Probably like 40 is a little bit. I know it's like nitpicky,
Yeah.
but like
Well, yeah, it wouldn't be fun without being just a little bit critiquing it.
I know. I mean, it is nitpicky, but like block bets are usually not around the 50% mark. They're usually around like the 30, like 25 to 35% mark. So like,
Well, I mean, that's the one thing I'll give you guys credit on, because some people can kind of be left in the dust, but it's like if you want to be good, you've always got to find every single advantage, every margin that you can, and some of it is just even in the language and understanding that, yeah, there's a lot of missed opportunities, I think, that most people
And
aren't even aware of in some of these
and
circumstances.
it's unfortunate because you can't be results oriented because it's like right now, if
Yeah.
you look at the results, it's like, well, he made more money than you would have made, and it's like that's true.
That's true.
Yeah, you know, like that's
It's
true.
just a thought, you know.
It's
We're not
true.
telling him to quit poker, or
Yeah,
just
of
like
course.
here's the thing you can do.
Yeah, it's just like in that situation, you have to think like, okay, do I want to go for value? Do I want to block bet? Or it's like, okay, if you choose block bet, then that's one size, and if you choose value, then that's another size. And
Well, Eli's a lawyer, so I mean he knows that when it's time to charge for his time, it's kind of size up there in some of those spots.
yeah, he's not here to block bet. He's here to charge on full. I like that.
King 10 versus 8-4, Jack 9. So just a straight here for Coins. Uh-oh.
I would have liked to see Chris just raise. Like, I think he's playing a little passive from the straddle position. Probably just not one of the things he's probably studied yet. And this is kind of why I wanted him to go on the stream, because I think that there's a lot of players like Chris that are very well studied, very polished,
Yeah.
but there's just a lot of in-game things that they haven't necessarily been accustomed to. One, because they're young, and two, because they're so well polished in in how the game is supposed to be, right? Like,
Right. They're not seeing games like this where
right.
you're going to have
it's like
maybe
2 straddles and like people that limp and stuff
Yeah.
like that. They're just like, no. I want to see 2 blind poker. People only raise.
Yeah,
and
only 3-bet. They only
Right,
4-bet.
right.
They play. They're like, I know how to play against that. Whereas, like, you just need to get some experience against people that play so differently.
Right. It's just
'cause-
like, okay, what do you do with King 10 offsuit when there's double straddle and coins is on your left? It's like, that's hard.
Say hello to Eli out in Finland. Getting viewers from all over the place, so. All right, what do we got? We got Eli raising here with 10-7. We got Dudley with Jack-10 as
Yeah, this hand's playing a little loose from multiple opponents. I would have liked to see George just raise himself, but he does have, Dudley dominated, and Eli's a little bit out of line, but he's going to try to make it happen. And he probably does make it happen here. I expect this to check to Eli. He needs to bet.
wow. He's not even gonna take a stab at it. We'll see. It opens the door for Dudley or George as.
I'm a little surprised to see Eli check, just because his intentions were to steal, and he had a pretty good flop to try to do so after taking the initiative pre. He flopped, optimistic, backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw, as well as an over to the 9. And his opponents just showed so much weakness pre-flop. His opponents are going to be dense to like pocket 4s, just random suited connectors that just like fold flop. And yeah, I would have liked to see Eli just kind of go for it. He already went for it pre-flop, so like,
It usually it just seems like that's the spot you want to bet.
For another 500 on
just
that.
go.
Just do it, man. Fire off some chips. Keep it going. But yeah, that's just. I think also when he gets the 2 players that call him fairly loosely, that I think maybe he could be up a 9. But I still
But those
feel
were
like you
the
still
most
gotta
likely
just be able
players he was
barrel
going to
it
play
there.
against. So one of the things you want to think about, I think, is like, who are the most likely players that you're going to play against, and what are their ranges? It's like, well, the 2 players that limped are the most likely the ones that are going to enter the pot because they already showed interest.
All right, we got to raise up here by Ace Jack.
This is a hand, Eli, that can go both ways. I think calling is fine, 3-betting is fine. Either one's fine. I think against Dudley specifically, I'd probably lean call, especially when you flop the nuts.
Top pair for Dudley as well as.
This is a tough board for Dudley. Generally speaking, I think you can go both ways into either like high frequency check, which is what a lot of people do on these kind of monotone boards out of position. Like the in position player will have a flush advantage, or they choose like a very small bet size and force the in position player to try to defend on monotone board, which is also very difficult.
Goes back call. Still Eli with the best hand, and may just wait until the river to.
I think for Dudley, this is a very easy river check, but it looks like he's going to bet. He's going to get raised.
They say it's an easy one just because like he's just not getting a better hand to.
It's
or
so
worse hand to
difficult for
call
him to
here.
find a hand that calls that's worse. And, like, the hands that... Like, there's a lot of hands that fold. Just like Queen X of spade. Like, it's just very hard for him to find a hand that calls that you're beating. I think
And
calling...
he's gonna stick with it. He doesn't believe him.
And it's for the same reason he should have checked. So the reason he's betting and then calling is because he thinks his opponent has bluffs. Because he thinks like, oh, his opponent
Should just have an
can't
ace
call with ace X of spade or like any random spade combo, but he could maybe raise because he missed. But for that same token, we should just check, and then those hands are forced to bet, and then we call.
Interesting hand there as he lied.
You know
Just
what?
stacking up.
You know what kind of sucks about
What?
streams sometimes is
Yeah.
that I don't like being overly critical. I like people just like playing.
Right,
And
right,
then,
right. But you're just
you know-
like, I can't help but say it here because this is just like. I imagine like if you had to ever set up like a shelf or something, like you have to do that. Like you can't just let somebody else like do this. Like no, I'll do this. Like
Yeah, I mean, because I
trust yourself. I would think.
no. Like I'm fine. Like I just don't like being overly critical because it's like at the same time he still has top pair, top kicker until the river.
Yeah. And sort of motion sensor light coming back on here, but
Oh, I thought we were gonna do this in the dark. I was fine with that.
yeah, this would be a really poker in the dark. I don't know if anybody's tried that concept yet. Because poker after dark, you just turn off the lights. That way, maybe just put a light up on the board. Nobody can see each other. Nobody will have any idea what the betting action is. But
I'm really surprised to see coins just limp the king jack suited after all this, like from the first blind. I think that's something we've seen twice already. Like people are playing relatively tight from the first blind with just like the straddles behind.
so each of these players flopping a pair of coins for the best version of one.
Block bet from coins. I think that's going to make it really easy for Alex to just continue in some facet, either raise or call. I think call's better when you don't contain an 8 or a 9 in your hand. If you had an 8 or a 9 in his hand, probably much higher frequency of raising.
Yeah, kings and
That's
jacks.
a great card for coins because that's going to give Master Kim 2 pair, that of which I'm unsure what he's going to do. That's a huge bet, though. Quick call. Wow. Worked out really well. Because a bigger bet would have probably seen Kim fold the turn.
All right, that's big enough pot. We can go one coin. I was saying, like, for every 500, it gets one level up. So
For every 500?
yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get as big of a game as we've had in some of them with coins, where we've had some really aggressive players and big stacks, but we do like to give that homage every time he does pull some chips in his direction. So again, hit the like button and hit subscribe. Appreciate all y'all's support. 6,670 subscribers, growing every single day. Check out all the highlight videos. I think when I was looking at it earlier, we're almost to about 500,000 views for all the content put together, like every
Wow.
single video. So it's, this has happened really, really quickly. It is still kind of shocking to wake up and go, I got to commentate on poker today, huh? That's going to be exciting. So it's... But yeah, by all means, I think what you were talking about, like you don't want to be critical. It's like, I think it can be critical. It just can't be like personal. Or
Oh,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah. I would
so
never
I
do
think
that.
there's always a...
At the end of the day, like, like, a lot of these people are very successful outside of poker. So it's not, this is what they do for fun. They're not here
Right.
to, like, have some young punk kid tell them that they suck. Like, that's not,
Yeah,
that's not what we're here for. I'm mostly just saying, like, oh, okay, like, theoretically, this is what most people do. And maybe you want to do it. Maybe you have an exploit. Like, that's
Yeah.
what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the criticisms I've received. It's like, why don't you just rip people? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's not my money. It's not my choice. This is how I can
And-
tell you why maybe they would
And to
think
be
on a certain
completely
logic.
yeah, to be completely honest, like in 5 years, I could just be like wrong, like because poker evolves and it changes so fast. So like, to say an absolute that someone is completely wrong is irresponsible. Like it's just not true because as poker evolves, as the solvers become like stronger,
Yeah.
we start seeing things that we thought were once wrong to be in theory incorrect. So
You never know if some kid out there at Harvard is gonna make some software that changes all
Yeah.
the math completely. It seems like it's in a pretty high place already as far as I'm like I just don't know enough about that side of things.
But at the end of the day, like multi-way is not as solved as heads up. So it's one of those things that we're still discovering things in a multi-way solve, and it's like once we're talking about multi-way solve, and now we're talking about 3 blinds, and we're talking about deep stacks, like
Yeah.
that's not solved. Like we're all just working in a theoretical, in an exploitative framework.
sure. That's part of the fun, is it just kind of keeps seeing this evolve in all sorts of different directions.
Aces.
I mean, just how quickly some
5
of the
years
notions
changed
change.
everything.
Like,
Yeah.
my lifetime, I just feel like there's been just so many different ways of thinking that, okay, we're doing this now? Okay.
Aces. No
Ugh,
action.
that's the worst feeling in the world. You try to raise that up there, and everybody just runs right away
Just
from
fold. That's it. That sucks.
it. You mentioned earlier you're on the From the Felt podcast. When did you guys record that? That was like yesterday or...
Yeah, it was actually yesterday, right before the stream. It was the Texas Card Hops podcast, and it was fun. It was just a lot of questions on, our
Put
experience,
backstories and
our
all that kind of
experience
stuff.
here, backstory, the academy, and
Yeah, it's and if you want to subscribe to that, and go to texascardhouse.com or Apple, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get podcasts. We've had one with Wes Cutshaw. We've had another, like 2 of them concerning TCH Dallas. So I mean,
That's
once we
coming
get
up soon.
TCH Dallas going, like this is going to be really off the hook. Because then we can get some really big names, and
that's what I'm looking forward to.
and I think Dallas is maybe a little easier place for people to travel to as far as some direct flights and its proximity to where some of the player pool is. So, I mean, we love it here. I fucking love living in this city. So if we can do TCH live from this room, yeah, hey, let's go. We got a flop flush here for Master Kim.
Kim checks here. I think that's pretty good, actually, on this kind of a board. It's a board that's going to favor the defender. And he does choose the check, then chooses the big bet on the turn. I think that's good. A little bit, really big on the turn. Generally, that's pretty good.
Master Kim. I don't know if he's a sibling to Lil Kim, but
Maybe.
or
I think I heard
Master
Master came. I think I heard Master came on a Biggie record once.
There's 5-5 on cap. I think we've had some 10 and 20 straddles. Come on, Bart, put it out there. Put the 50 out there.
I would love to see Bart just put the 20 and then Chris put the 40. But Chris isn't even here. Oh, he's running back.
There he is. He's racing to his seat. Yeah, if you want to catch the commentary of the stream last night, we started with Matt Hunt, and then it was
Do it, kid. Come on.
come on.
You can do it. Come on. He's gonna. Fall.
Nittiness is a cardinal sin in this game. But oh, what is he doing?
He's too good.
This
He's
kid
just-
sounded
he
like he
wants
knew
to play
everything, and
good.
now
He
he's-
wants to play good. He
Well, like
wants-
in your hand classes, you really kind of define that as one of those places up front where it's just not. But
This is
this
the
game,
thing.
I think, is one of those that I think you can open it up a lot more because it's not.
The thing
as,
is that this is kind of what I mean in terms of Chris is very good in terms of theory and understanding where hands can be opened and where hands cannot be opened, and that by the book, that's a fold. Like that is a good fold pre-flop. But I think in games like this where
you're not running into super, super,
like
super
10-3
duper good
suited
players.
is just calling, and you dominate a lot more hands. You can expand a little bit more, and like look at 8-6 and 10-3 suited are battling it out. Like we should be in there. It's a really nice flop for Kim, and he takes it down. He's probably going to show the 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shows the 8 of diamonds. So Bronstein, George there. Everybody's remarking that he's not wearing his Houston Astros hat. So
This is what it comes down to. In the tougher lineups, with the locals, right? Like
Yeah,
Bone-
sure.
With Bones and Matt Liu and Westlake and these
Broklahoma
kind of guys
and
and
those
like
guys.
Oklahoma and King 10 offsuit probably should fold, like because you're getting 3-bet. Your C bets are getting messed with. You're not just gonna just make it happen with the King 10 offsuit. But in a game that maybe is a little bit more tame, not as many 3-bets, C-bets just get through at a higher frequency, maybe the King 10 offsuit gets played, especially if you deem yourself to be a little bit better than the field and you can quantify how.
Let's see what we got going. We got the raise up to 25 by coins.
We're going to see very reasonable defense from Eli. Kim is in there with the ace-5 offsuit. King 9-3. Coins is a pretty good flop here. I would have. I think okay. I think either one is fine. Multi-way is a little bit harder to define. When c-bets should be going through, but like this is one of the candidates that probably c-bets at a high frequency. Once the turn hits a jack, I think his hand shifts to like showdown value. Now I think his hand's a bet, but it just checks through and he's gonna take it down.
Yeah, we'll flip it up. Is Jack with queen good?
Queen jack's definitely good here.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those things where, like, in a game like this, where people are not bluffing, like, multiple players had opportunities to bluff here,
Yep.
and nobody took it. That means that we probably want to start betting for denial at a higher frequency. Like, now, the turn check with Queen Jack becomes less good when Bart doesn't fire the river with Queen 4 suited.
Have you ever seen a 73% V pip in a game?
No, but
it's still a little early, but it is.
But the guy with a very nice vehicle outside and his name is Coins, I expect him to be the 73% VPIP. And look at that watch, man.
Look. Baller time. That's what it says on there. I think I saw a watch that had, I think it was a Lil Wayne that had a watch that had like a roulette wheel in it, built within the actual watch. I'm not sure who that was, but...
Oh, that was Drake.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm less excited about that now.
You're not a Drake fan?
I'm okay with Drake. I wish he would just kind of stop some of the sideline stuff at the Raptors games. But I get it. You're a Canadian guy. It's whatever. But I'm indifferent to Drake, but I respect what he does.
Okay, with that.
Coins.
This is an aggressive bet.
He's got the nut low, though. No, wrong game. Shit. Thinking we were playing Omaha 8 or better, but...
Yeah, we don't get to see what Dudley had, but if Coins called the flop, that's very aggressive.
One at a time. Yeah, you're supposed to stack them, and that's the way they read it. Yeah, exactly.
Check. Now Coins hits a deuce, which probably going to allow him. Most people would check this river as Coins because he has some showdown value, and he beats like some heart combinations, some 9-10 combinations, some Jack-10 combinations. Betting here and getting raised. Now we probably just lead fold.
Place in this parking lot, A&A Sichuan, it's actually pretty good. Have you been there?
Although the line by Dudley is very shaky, but generally I just don't see how he can have many bluffs this way. Like, if he had intentions of bluffing, he would just mostly bluff the turn, not check back the turn, and then bluff this river. It's very unlikely. Like, it's an under-bluffed line.
Yeah, I don't know. Coins posturing a little bit, but...
I don't think it's posturing. Coins is a caller. There we go.
I see a 4 of hearts, and what's that, set of fours?
Deuce of hearts. 4 deuce of hearts.
4 deuce.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I mean.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
That's kind of what I mean. It's an under-bluff line. Like, it's tricky because you're thinking, well, what hands play this way? But at the same time, you should be thinking, what hands bluff this way? And it's not many that bluff this way.
Nice one there for Dudley. Sorry, we're making fun of Drake there. So what do you like to listen to? Just taking like a sidebar. Like what's?
No, I'm into everything, man. I think that I like hip hop. I like R&B. I like some pop, I guess.
So just kind of nice. You got to have some balance there.
Yeah, it's really dependent on the mood that I'm in. So if I'm in a mood to just like pop off in a poker game, I might just like put on some hardcore rap.
I like that for the fact that it's like very empowering. Where I think like rock music's taken kind of a dive because it's become very like it's just oh, my ex-girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. It's not like the 70s where it was, like, powerful. Then the 80s, it was like you dress like a woman and sing about the devil. And, like, that's
Oh,
Bill
man,
Burr's
okay.
quote on that. But,
Master
Yeah.
Kim's not a folder of Queen 10 offs.
no,
I'll tell you that.
that is going right there on the felt. Those.
Wow, 60. So, little trick of the trade is the bigger they open, the more you should lean 3-bet and the less you should lean call. Because they're risking more to win less. And because the bigger sizing, you're more incentivized to just like take it down. Because if they're opening bigger with the same range, then they're risking too much, which means that you're making more when you 3-bet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, for example, if he's opening 30 with Queen 10 offsuit and folding to a 3-bet, if he's opening 60 with Queen 10 offsuit and he's folding to a 3-bet, you just win more money when he folds the Queen 10 offsuit.
Makes sense, actually. And I'm probably going to get the Bronstein Bomber here, Mr. George. He can't possibly. Well,
I think he's going to fold.
yeah, he's got that look of dejection.
That's a little bit of fear equity, I think, that happens with, Bart, where it's like he just probably doesn't want to play ace queen offsuit against Bart, but if it was somebody else, he probably flicks it in. I like the 3-bet from Bart. It's a spot where calling 55 more doesn't feel great, but 3-betting against a player that's just like opening a lot of hands is pretty good. However, there was, I like it. It was 300 and Kim had 1.1, so if Kim just rips, we could just fold.
Well, there, Alex suggesting some breath mints for the folks there. I don't know if that's a kindness kind of thing or maybe an insult, but I've also heard people that don't like chewing gum because it feels like it can turn them into a tell machine. That start chewing a little bit when they get excited, it may give away information. But
It could be true.
some folks opting for the breath mints, so. Of course, I might need one after this coffee here, our ATX coffee machine. Pretty snazzy thing here in the back of the room our players really like.
I like this 3-bet from Alex. I think the sizing's pretty good. I think this is just gonna take it down. I don't really see Bart flicking it in here. Wow. Okay. Okay. It wasn't super large, I guess.
Yeah, enough for an Bart's position as well, so. I don't know how much that matters in spots like these, but
It does matter because he gets to over-realize his equity. So, for example, not on this specific board, but say the board was like 8, 7, 4, then he probably gets to see the river at a fair frequency because Alex is either going to check the flop or the turn. This is a really good spot for Alex just because Coins has a jack. So Alex is probably going to start with probably 2/3. Okay, sorry, 1/3. So this is a little over 1/3. And now when Coins calls, we're very excited. Because Coins has the widest range here.
yeah, it could be 8x, 4. I mean, he's gonna call most flops if he's got any part of it.
Yeah, we just keep betting. This is a dream card. This is an unfair card, actually. This is it's too good. It's why is it not a 9?
Yeah, something that has to change his line of thought here.
I think you just go pretty large here, something like 900, and just try to felt this hand. 800 is good too. 1,000. 1,000 is a lot though because Coins is putting in almost half his stack. I mean, it's a good size relative to the pot, but I think I would have preferred slightly smaller.
Yeah, I think the term that you used that he had a really elastic range, meaning he's calling fairly wide, fairly off. Is that?
I think it's a thing where it's I just really don't want Coins to fold a jack. And it's like when we put a 1,000 in, he considered it, and that's worrisome. Where it's like I think he doesn't consider 800 like often. He just like calls. But now for sure, once he calls 1,000, like it's game over. Like he's not folding this river because he has like third SPR. Like he has nothing left. This river.
Yeah, just another perfect card here for Alex.
Yeah, he's all in for sure. So, for example, when Coins has this hand, he's not folding anything, right? But what you were mentioning in terms of him having an elastic range is if he had like Jack 10 on the turn and you bet 1,000, I'm unsure if I think he folds.
Yeah, there are. Yeah,
But that's the majority of his range. Like we don't expect him to have a hand this strong, like because of just how often he's playing hands. Right, he has like 70% VPIP, so it's like him having Ace Jack's an anomaly. But the majority of his range will be like Jack 10, Jack 9 suited, 8X, and I think against 800, maybe 750, he calls that at a very high frequency. When we put 1,000 in, he calls that when he has Ace Jack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think his range is so wide that we just want to make it more difficult for him to make decisions. And it's like when we have queens, we just really would love him to continue. But yeah, that was a very nice hand for Alex. Like, that was huge.
Handing out breath mints and tickets to Value Town as it gets it here on the end. You may have saw on the cumulative winnings that is as of the restart that we did probably about like maybe an hour ago or so. So I know Bart's up a bit, and I think Dudley's also up as well within this game. So to keep that in mind if you see that as far as like this is just kind of within our second round or the second half. As we had a little halftime, we had to give everybody a pregame speech, make some adjustments, go to the chalkboard, get some water.
Talk to your coaches.
Yeah.
Tell them that you can't fold King 10 offense.
Like my dad was a coach, so that was and he was kind of a psychotic basketball. I mean, like really intense competitor. And halftime, if we didn't play the first half, he was scared to death of going that
Wow.
Well, I don't want to say scared to death. It's not like he was going to do something. But it was always tense. So
Throw the Gatorade, like.
yeah. And one of his former players just is like an executive in Seattle, and he told me, it's like, how much it just. I wish like somebody like your dad just come in and just throw a marker against the wall and be pissed off. Like, now we got to be all politically correct. It can't be. Yeah, it's a sidebar, but an analogy towards halftime is I think we'll be streaming up until about 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. So drop us a like, leave us a comment, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. It's continuing to keep growing. We love the action. We do the Monday 5-5 stream. Thursdays, a 1-3 match, the big stack. And then Sundays, we do the final table. What's now a $6K guarantee, $150 tournament that people really enjoy getting on that. I see people's Facebook pictures of them on these tables. So they really have enjoyed the schedule. So
George with pocket queens. Raise it up to 65. Big raise.
yeah, straddle on the call. And my name is Mike Emily here with Christian Soto of Solve4Y Academy. So you guys got video content at tv.solve4live.io, and if you use promo code TCH Austin, that's a free month to check out all the content, which you're going to need a lot of time to get through it because you got monthly masterminds, you got all these courses, you've got
Poker out loud.
yeah. Oh my God.
That's everybody's favorite.
Yeah, it
You
is.
put the headphones on, and
So
you just,
so how does that work? Do you guys have to like close your eyes or look down or not try to like?
So this is how it works. We put the headphones on,
Yep.
and everybody has their music, and when it's on you,
Oh, I see.
it's your turn to talk, and no one else can look at you while you talk. So there's producers that are standing like by the table. But You
Okay.
can't see them on camera, but they're by the table, and they're effectively like monitoring that you're not just like lip reading, of course, or anything like that. Then when it's not on you, the LED light on the table will change to your color.
Okay.
So let's say like you're blue.
Yeah.
When the LED turns blue, it's your time to talk. When it's not blue, it's time to shut up.
So I would probably be listening to Eiffel 65 on blue while that's happening. So
Yeah, season 1, I was so tilted that I had the same song over and over for 4 hours. I didn't play well that season. So if you want to see me play well, watch season 4.
yeah. Take a little time. So we got top and bottom here for Wado. Master Kim was kings.
Yeah, this is going to be problems.
Bet is 75. The sport will get out.
Theoretically, this board is checked at a high frequency when the big blind is in for reasons like this. And just getting check raised here is just like a disaster in so many levels. Like, so theoretically, it's check raised at a high frequency. If your opponent's not check raising you at a high frequency, then it starts betting at a high, like more often. Wow, he just folds. That's a big fold. That's a good fold. I mean, that's kind of what we're saying in terms of like in an exploitative framework, right? So theoretically, you're supposed to check at a high frequency because getting check raised is a disaster. But that's only a disaster if you're up against a balanced range. Now, if your opponent's not check raising you at a high frequency, then you're allowed, quote unquote, allowed to bet more often. But then you have to follow that up with, well, if I'm not getting check raised at a high frequency, and that's allowing me to bet at a higher frequency, then when I do get check raised, I should just fold, which is what Kim did, and he's a superhero. And
Yeah,
he's
and
also on the Biggie track.
Yeah. So if you got any questions here for Chin Soto, by all means. I've seen a couple. I'm like trying to keep up here with the action. I kind of joke around here a little bit too.
Oh, your job is hard. You have to like run the show and run the.
I feel
Be
like I have an easier
This
job.
is like
than
a
the
first
production
date.
team.
It's like you have to be funny. You have to be entertaining.
You gotta bring out
the
other
whole
people's
thing.
personalities.
Yeah.
Like that's been always the challenge. Is like I've sat down with so many different people that it's just sort of like, okay, here's the fun. Like, how are we gonna get the personality out of Christian? How are we gonna get out of it?
Yeah.
So it's, and sometimes when I've had some of these guys, I've never talked with them before. So it's just sort of, it's generally works pretty well, but it's, I've been lucky to have some experience that it's been a pretty smooth fit. So. All right, what
Turn
do we got?
7 for coins. Dudley bets pocket queens on this turn. Coins calls. Interesting spot here. Dudley with the queen of diamonds.
Wow.
I think you just want to bet here. You get called by worse diamonds. You very infrequently get raised. You don't want to check and then cap yourself and your opponent just like bombs. So betting something like 125 seems really good. Get called by like all the worst diamonds, maybe a trip 7s. Yeah, this is very good. This is pretty good sizing.
The old suck, resuck. No.
Yeah, diamond? Flicks it in. Nice bet, Dudley.
There you go.
The man is making it happen. Shorting Tesla every day.
Queen's doing you good tonight, man.
Getting 5-5 on cap. Make sure to hit subscribe. I was hoping maybe we'd get to the 7,000 mark here tonight, but I think we will. I don't know. We're seem to be growing at a healthy rate. You just never know where the poker audience is out there these days, and it's to get a new viewer every time out. They might not have ever heard of us here for the first time, so we welcome all new viewers. Giving run streams on Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And if you want to check out what our schedule is, if there's any slight changes, check out TexasCardHouse.com. We're got everything all mapped out. Just wrapped up the 5-year anniversary weekend. The Sulphur White team. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and
Yeah, it was fun.
it was awesome. That's gladly able to come into work. I think a lot of us tired, but that's. That is the beauty and the struggle is just pushing through stuff.
Oh, for sure. And it was such a great weekend. Look, this place was booming. There was games around the clock almost.
Up until like 4, 5, 6 in the morning too. It's a lot of folks here at our neighborhood Texas Card House in North Austin.
It's a good board for Wadio, as if it checks to him, I expect him to bet. Hand just needs protection. Alex bets. Radio calls. I think that's going to shake everybody off this hand. Not so fast. Coins. I love coins, man.
Yeah, he's idol to us all. It was kind of a fan favorite on the stream, and
I think now Wadio wants to bet. Your hand directly blocks 6-5 suited. Your hand wants protection. This is a good bet. This is great. Good. Very nice hand.
gets it through here as it's been streaming up until about 10 p.m. tonight Central Time. How's body been adjusting to? I know Berkey was saying like he still felt like it was on Vegas time or West Coast time.
So I was on Pacific time. Then I came here and I realized that we were 2 hours ahead. 2 hours ahead. And I was surprised because I learned that there's 4 time zones in America, not 3. And I was like, wait, so it's 2 hours? But then where's East Coast? And it's like, that's 3 hours? But there's something called mountain time?
That's even more confusing. And then if you go to Indiana, they have a different rule. It's like, why don't we just get all on the
I was like,
so we had the daylight savings time is the thing that
the daylight saving times happened,
and
I was like,
you've got to be kidding me! Of all weekends,
I was like, wait, how many hours are what's going on?
Yeah, what day is this? Is it
Siri,
Friday, Sunday,
Siri,
Tuesday?
what time is it?
Yeah. I always joke with everybody here that time does not exist in a card room. It is just a construct that we use to return to our daily lives when we have to.
Time is a myth.
Yes, time is a flat circle, as they said. What was that? True Detective?
I like this 3-bet by Eli. This is very good. Probably would like to see a little bit bigger. I'm not sure if he was if there was only one straddle, which is very likely, then 3-betting from this spot is rather polarizing. So because you're incentivized to flat the majority of your range. So when you do 3-bet, 3-betting really large is the more modern strategy. So this would have been considered somewhat of a small 3-bet. The more common 3-bet here would be 300. But it looks like he did get defended. We're up to a flop, but we haven't seen that yet. But I assume that I saw Master Kim put out chips, so this probably went bet and then a call. And now the players are waiting for us to catch up to them because they're so ahead in the time continuum.
All right.
Let's see if we can pick up anything from them.
We
picked up that they both liked the flop.
That is a little bit more than what we expected. Top pair here for Eli as he bets 200. Get a call here from Master Kim. This
is a really good card for the position player. Out of position wants to start checking. This is good. Master Kim could go either way. I think he can potentially start turning his hand into a bluff. Also could just take it down, take it to try to show down. This is a tricky. I think now Master Kim. Oh no! You have to bet.
You have to.
You're just too far down in your distribution. Think about all the hands you have, and where a 9 ranks in that. You have way better hands than a 9 usually. So when that's the case, that means that the 9 has very little value to you, which means now you could just turn it into a bluff. You're just gonna have better hands. You're gonna have 2-pair. You're gonna have a jack. You're gonna have straights. So you just bluff. And then if your opponent has ace king or aces, he's gonna be in a tough spot. It's four to a straight. There's 2 pairs out there. There's straights out there. Master Kim.
Yeah. Gonna have Chris under the gun. But it is. Thought he might be. No, well, he's got 7s here. No,
he's gonna play.
Have him in a hand.
He's gonna play.
Here we go.
35. Very good.
Gets coins out of the way, which that around like a 70% beat pip is kind of more surprising than sequence race at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Wado going to call here with ace deuce. Come on, Dudley, get those cards scanned.
Well, all the 7s are dead. I saw Jack 7 and now 8-7, so it's going to be really hard for Chris to win this one.
I think I don't know if the RFID reader, like running it back and forth. I think you just need to put it on top and just let it. Okay.
Ace, King, 3 monotone. Probably a spot Chris wants to start checking. No hearts so far, unless Dudley has one.
Trying to guess Dudley's hand is. Maybe you could have a 10 jack in there.
Yeah, well, he's betting, so he could have it now for sure. Let's see what Wadio does. Probably going to defend 1 here. It's a little tricky because I don't necessarily think that like Dudley has like a high bluff propensity. Like we would need him to show up here with like 10-9 of spades, things like that. But I'm not sure how often he does.
Yeah, generally any aggression that may be just either pre-flop or on the flop. It tends to the later streets to be more in the solid type. But small bet there.
Feels like some king queen type of hand class, something like that. Some king queen, some ace 10s.
Let's see, a queen there.
Yeah, but that's probably followed by a king.
Yeah.
We don't see it. I want to see it.
Come on. Look,
Yes,
the overhead
king, queen.
camera, overhead camera. Come on. Ugh. Well, we know. Yeah, that's okay. Yep, you're right. King queen. That's got it updated there on.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like on the turn when he bets,
Oh, okay.
we need him to show up with like 10-9, and we need him to show up with maybe like some pocket 4s, like
Yeah.
hands that are just like like getting 8s and 9s and 7s to try to fold and things like that. Maybe like a queen to try to fold. But if you think that he doesn't do that, then the ace deuce becomes a little bit trickier in that spot.
Question asked, where's Bones, Rami? Well, I think Kevin Rant's on the list to get this game. He was in the game last night, and I think he's waiting to get in. Yeah, there's always kind of players on the list. It is often kind of dependent on if somebody busts or decide I need to get up. So yeah, we're going to be running streams for a while here. So I was just kind of feel like, hey, it's not the end of the world. We're going to get all sorts of folks that will jump in the game, not just our regulars too, as leave the stage open for everybody. So we got George 3-betting here with ace queen off, as there was looks like a $80 straddle.
Yeah, he's just getting this in versus Master Cam. Wow, cold 4.
Either that or a blind raise. And Eli's coming.
Yeah. It's cold 4 bet.
Whoa.
Now. I mean, he's committed to this pot now. This is often going to be value. This is a little bit of a this is a little bit of a mistake though by Eli. Effectively, he's never folding.
Yeah.
So this is often just a hand that wants to get called, which is a little bit of a problem because you're representing a value range with no bluffs, which now George can very easily fold. And I think even Ace King could just fold. But I don't know. Ukrainians don't really fold Ace King. Just saying. Not saying anything against him. Ace King's
just in your experience.
in my experience, Ace King doesn't like folding from Europe. Good.
Yeah,
He's
we
gonna
get a lot
fold.
of opinions from our chat about the European play. So
Good. That's a good fold. And it's just a product of Eli's like sizing. He's just always calling, which is a problem. It's very likely to just be like 2 kings.
About 1,000 behind.
probably we'll see likely George get away from this. Just
Yeah, I mean he's gonna fold.
stand up, sit down, lean forward. It's the Bronstein way. So it's a good old man. But
Yeah, I mean I think Eli just has kings. Yeah.
yeah. It's just got one of 2 or 3 hands possibly.
And it's just a product of his sizing. Like so there, I think he started the hand with 2300.
Yeah.
If he goes to like 800,
Hey man, I had those kings.
it gives the illusion that he can fold,
Yeah, well, that's
right?
why I
Because
got
he's put in like only a third of his stack. So if he had a hand like ace queen suited, he could just like put in 780 and then fold if his opponent shoves. But when he puts in 1400, he's never gonna fold, and that makes it a lot easier for his opponents to play against. It's just like if you have ace king, you just fold, which is a really it feels bad, but like it feels great when he just shows you 2 kings. But if he made it 750 or 800, now Alex is in a bind.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's where
well,
it's like now do I got to put the
yeah,
the
if he
bet
puts
in,
in,
or?
yeah, if he rips, it's not so bad. Maybe his opponent folds.
Again, TCH live Monday, Thursday, and Sunday, and also often special events. Again, hit that like button for us, guys. We want to show your support. Above all else, hit thumbs up. Only losers hit thumbs down.
Wow.
Yeah, calling them out, calling all the.
Don't be a loser.
Yeah. Engagement is engagement, though, but we appreciate everybody dropping a comment. If you have any questions here for Chin Soto,
I like how that's become my name. Like just
it just
Chin.
become we had sweet chin music. I'm always trying to. It's. Yeah, and I read about it because when I first started hearing it, I'm like, why do they call him Chin? And like, is there something? Is he like Jay Leno fan or something? And then I'm like, I read, it's like, oh,
It started
kind of
because people
variable.
didn't want to call me Chris Chin, so they just said Chin.
Yeah. And then he said you were getting mistaken for being Asian, which is another.
That gets me into better games.
So that's maybe line of the night, but that's great. But again, solved for why you not only have the TV side of things, you got the multi-table academy, the cash game academy. So yeah, they come with a cost, but it seems like everybody that has gone through it has come out of it a better player.
Yeah, I'm very proud of a lot of the players that have come through, especially Chris. He's right now, I think, primed to like break out, but he's still so young, and so, like it hurts him to make mistakes, which is part which is part of the process. Which is why
you
he
just learn as you get older. Like you're gonna look stupid all the time.
Yeah,
If you can laugh
just-
about it, then you know.
That's why I tell him just get stacked, man. It's fine.
Yeah, it's like you just gotta get used to it. It's just like it's part of the game. You gotta get indoctrinated into, hey, you're gonna fuck up sometimes.
Yeah, it's part of the process. It's good. It's one of those things. Even in entrepreneurship, it's like if you fail quickly. And
don't
it's-
fail over a
Yeah,
long,
don't fail
slow
over a long.
bleed.
Like if you're gonna fail fast and get back up and do it again.
We got 5s, coins. George taking the lead with a pretty sizable bet there. And here in the cash game tonight, also got a 2K guaranteed $150 tournament that's getting going.
I might jump in. Max late Rich, throw me in there.
Yeah. Just start bombing. It's a
All in,
re-entry. You
all in,
can
all in. That's why I have
account
Max
for like
late
half
Rich.
the prize pool. And
You have to. I can't. Those re-entries, just Max late Rich. It saves me money, and because if not, then I'm just like.
yeah, how did that tournament go on Saturday? Because we had the 30K guarantee, we had 60K.
It came, 60K guarantee. A lot of people came out, showed support. Matt Liu decided to just throw it in with ace 10 suited, and then he made the final table.
Oh,
because-
yeah.
because, you know,
of course.
because I had 10s, and he just, the
Yeah,
kid
just-
is, fortune favors the youth. All right, looks like we're going to see a raise here from Dudley. There's a straddle and a re-straddle, so he makes it the minimum $80. Everybody's folding. Radio.
Can I give you a purple chip?
Dudley from the first position, opening. I like flatting. However, this is the spot where you kind of have to make an exploitative decision. I'll say, does Dudley make it just 80 with jacks or better? I don't know.
Yeah.
So that though, but generally speaking, when he opens from the first position, after the straddle, he's going to be pretty strong. So leading call is fine. Now you just have to make the exploitative decision of does he lean call with all his hands? I mean, does he lead 80 with all his hands or just the weaker portion of the hands that he wants to play? I like this bet. I like the bet by Widio. The sizing's okay. Probably a little smaller would be better, but it's okay.
Unfortunately, Master Kim has got 3 reclined 4s.
Yeah, this is wow. I'm super shocked to see a flat. I don't. Okay, so I don't like the flat. The reason is because there's just not a lot of 6Xs in Wadio's range. So like, he was coming from the first straddle, right? Facing the under the gun, which is the new under the gun, so to speak. Right?
Sure.
The first position to raise. So in that situation, it's unlikely that Wadio has too many 4Xs, and way more likely, 6Xs, and way more likely that he has like an ace X combo or like 9s and 10s and 8s and things like that. So it's in that situation, it's like, okay, well, just throw it in. You're Master Kim. You're very likely to proceed to be bluffed. If he has a 6, then you just get stacked. It's only 190 more anyway. So I would have just personally leaned shove, just because of the infrequency in which Wadio has a 6.
All right. Might get some life here into this game. I think that might be Kevin Rand that's popping in there. Seat 5, George. The Braunstein Bomber calling it a 9th. Yep, that is Mr. Kevin Rand here in the game. And so they'll get a little more spicy here. The shot arm. That's a really super duper good player, and I think we may have him in the commentary booth either next Monday or the week after. So we got to get Chin Soto in here while you're still hanging around town. And all right, as Kevin opens here and gets 3-bet here to 250, which. Well, Alex with Ace King again, so we'll see if we try out that Ukrainian Ace King theory
It's
in
so
this
hard.
particular spot.
It's so hard to fold, man.
It's like I've got
How
top
many
top.
times-
This is always good.
How many times are they going to give him this sucky spot?
And
Now he 4-bets. Because this one's different, right? His opponent could be perceived to be folding, which is why he puts in the 4-bet.
yep.
I think now calling is pretty nice for Eli. There's also no sizing he can make it where he's not all in. Yeah. So he has 2 options, either rip or just call. I think calling is kind of nice. It's unlikely that Alex calls it off with queens here to the 5-bet. So
Yeah, I would be really surprised if he did. Monty might be feeling splashy here as well, but so okay, you're in this spot. I mean, is there any line of thought as far as making these calls in situations, or is it most of the time it's just almost always a fold?
I think it's a fold because, one, he never has ace queen, which is obviously a consideration. But also, I don't think he has queens a lot. I think queens just like flats the 630. So I think you're up against a range of just like kings and aces at a very high frequency. And I don't think you're getting the right price against that range. Unless maybe he has kings and aces and ace king, which makes it a little bit better because you're chopping sometimes. But I think that you're in pretty bad shape, even like mathematically versus range here. Yeah, I think you should just fold.
Eli
Yeah.
with Eli and Ray. Oh, yeah, he's gonna get out. Does Kings again? You gotta be kidding me.
Must be nice.
Yeah. Check out his website, elireed.com. I think personal injury attorney. Just checking it out right now. It's just, some people don't want to talk about their careers, and I think lawyers just say, hey,
Yeah, well,
they're like, hey, I'm taking clients all the time. Like, what do you got for me?
business. They need the business. And also, he keeps injuring my man Alex. It's like, man, just like you keep pounding him over the
Yeah.
head.
Now, if you start suing Texas Card House for injuries, then we might have a problem here. We don't want to get the stream shut down, but that's been happening with some of the content creators. So it's a really weird, spooky world to be in at this point. As far as I think, like Matt Liu, like we've talked about, it has lost a ton of his library and
You would have to see a flop.
it just vanishes in thin air just because the website says so. So it's. All right, so we got a $20 strat to put on. Looks like.
I want to see young Chris put out the 80 tonight.
Come on, yeah, get out there and gamble. See, does he have any gamble in him, or is there?
It's okay to play. It's okay to play
pump
tight.
it into
but you
him,
have
like,
to,
hey, it's all right.
it's okay to play tight, but you have to put on the 80 tonight. Like, it's okay. Even if the cards don't choose you today, you still have to put it out.
Yeah, it's
Just
good
for
for the
love,
game.
Just for the
It's-
love of the
it's good
game,
karma.
support of the game,
It's-
good karma. People don't think you're a terrible person.
yeah.
It's like the cards didn't choose me for 2 days. I fucking sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I played a 15% VPIP, but I'm just like, oh my god, I can't breathe. Somebody deal me 7-6 suited, and then I'm just like, you know what? Doesn't matter. I put out the $604 straddle because they deserve it. You know, Texas deserves it.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was an all-time stream for us. Both of those were just a really good showcase, I think, for Texas players as far as like, hey, I mean, we're not all crazy here, but it's a very like give action to get action
Yeah,
kind
for
of
sure.
deal,
You
which
have
is I think a lot more pure way to play,
play
the game.
Yeah, for sure. Wadio has a very, very easy call. It's obviously it sucks because your opponent overbet the river, but once it goes check, bet on the 5 of diamonds, and now big bet. Yeah, like we checked the river to call, and your opponent, yeah, very easy. I like the check on the river by Wadio. His opponent just has like some 9-8, some 6-8, things like that, and you unblock all those hands, and you just call once he chooses the massive sizing.
So, we've got Kevin Rand into the game here for George. He's played a lot of crazy hands where he's got a pretty wide 3-betting range. So well, I mean, if you want to throw one player in the game that can kind of open things up for everybody, Kev's our guy. So
I like Kev. He's super cool. He also just like makes really big hands like pots versus top vote. I don't mind seeing King 8 suited raise there. Not mandatory though. Ace checks. Offsuit's gonna be a raise.
great Bart Hansen here with the raise up.
Oh. Oh.
What? Come on, coins.
Wow. Whoa.
What else we got going on? Okay. Well, now we get the 3-bet put in.
It's pretty small though. I would like to see something closer, like 170, something like that. Pocket nines is the call. I think this hand mostly wants to 4-bet or fold, mostly fold, and I think we should. Okay.
Yeah. This could have been an all right time for a back raise, I guess.
Yeah, back raise is fine. Just because of the frequency in which the small blind has a linear 3-bet range. But flatting's okay too. I think now Ace King is done with the hand. Queens should bet the flop.
What? Oh, Ace gets there here for Wado.
I think you want to bet. You want to bet Ace King on this turn. Why is everybody checking? now Ace King like lost a lot of value, but it probably
Yeah.
should just block bet. Wow, I'm really surprised
Well,
the hand.
man, it could have made that pot so much bigger. As it, usually between Ace King and Queens, it's
Yeah, this was interesting. Nines got to see all 5 cards in an attempt to hit a 9, which is a really good thing for nines. Yeah, I think that Ace King generally wants to 3-bet a little bit larger. It would have knocked out nines and been heads up versus queens. I think once the flop checks to queens, I think that queens wants to start betting. It wants to start betting for some value, but also a little bit of denial to Ace King, as well as it unlikely to get check raised. Once the ace gets turned, I think Ace King just like shoots up to like the nuts. and
Yeah,
it just
that
start
is-
betting. The reason is because no one's gonna bluff you. Like that's your card. You 3-bet pre, and the ace came after nobody bet. So like no one's gonna bluff into that card, which means you're just incentivized to start betting.
So we've got Alex with call here. As Mike Emma with Christian Soto solve for Y. Here for commentary tonight. A nice little Monday night. Still got the motion lights turning off on us here in our back studio. I think we'll have a different change on that soon, so we're not going to have to get that up. But it's
4-way to the flop.
Yeah.
Again, Wadio defending the button. Straight out of the Solve for Y playbook. It's a thing. It's a real thing. You have to defend your position sometimes. This is a tough spot for Chris. I would like to see him check. That's good. I think Alex can start betting. His hand class is really nice. Okay, I think Wadio wants to start betting now. Whoa, what is going on? This is Texas.
What are you guys checking? Come on. Some life into this game here. So we got
Well, I think the thing is that they both. The reason I'm saying that is because they both have really good candidates. Like, for example, having the King of Hearts is a really good card because it blocks King 10 of Hearts, it blocks King Jack of Hearts, it blocks King 10 of Hearts, which means your opponents fold at a higher frequency. You also have a Jack, which means that your opponents don't have Jack 10 of spades or Jack 10 offsuit as often. So that's a good candidate to start betting. The same applies for Wadio, as he has the Jack of Hearts. It's unlikely they have King Jack of Hearts. Well, impossible. Jack 10 of Hearts, Queen Jack offsuit, etc. So they both have hands that are have very good properties to begin betting as a bluff. And now Wadio,
yeah.
I think you can go either way. Either one is fine. It's like bluffing here is, I kind of like calling. It's unlikely for him to like check back and then find turn raises as a bluff, especially not as like because Dudley bet the turn and then
Right.
got raised, so it's really unlikely that Wadio finds like the cold 3-bet on the turn.
Yeah, but I still, this is still good. The line
Let's see. Yeah, so it's Alex in the cutoff waiting on the button. And he's gonna check and what? What in the world?
Wadio just really likes people from Ukraine.
Yeah, he's
that's
just
really
like,
what happened.
I don't want to get, this guy might know somebody in the Ukrainian mob. Just
Yeah.
never know. That's why I always just say I'd never ask it. Unless I have some idea they work in a professional. I'd never ask for like what profession they're in work. So what do you do for work? 'Cause you might not like the answer. I don't
Nice
think
hand.
that's the case. It's just one of those things that,
Nice
you know what?
hand, Wadio. Nice
Better
hand.
off I not know some things here.
Yeah. Nice hand, Wadio. I like it. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, it's not my business. I'm just saying. I personally would bet, but
Yeah.
I'm also not that afraid of Alex. I'm not saying Wadio's afraid of Alex. I'm not saying that either.
No,
I'm just saying people from-
it's just
I am afraid
we're
of some
speculating.
Ukrainians, I'll say that.
It is.
I am a little afraid of some Ukrainians. I don't know.
I think it's just like Eastern Europeans tend to be tougher. Like,
They are tough, man. They just are.
they're just inherently born, I think, to just end a lot tougher cultures. Their families generally have had it.
I honestly think that Rocky movies like scared us of Russians. I was like, wait, why did they build that monster in that lab that boxes and has that scary accent like a robot?
Yeah, well, that was like, during those Cold War times where people were really, I mean, it was a thing. And I think there's more similarities, obviously, between the cultures, but just I think you could sense more of a coldness on the Russian side, and I think the Ukrainians tend to be known to be a little bit more on the sweeter side.
Oh,
I mean, that
Alex.
was based off of, I think, everything I watched in the documentary on the Ukrainian, what was it? There was, it was a very, very weird time in Ukrainian politics, and I'll just leave it like that so we don't lose half the channel. But
So you're saying Alex is a sweetheart?
I'm just saying, like, you're more likely to find, well, he is actually a pretty sweet dude, like, but he's a absolutely terrific pool player, and
That's because he was hustling people
exactly.
at 13.
The routine, like, hello, I'm very nice. Would you like to play a game?
Yeah.
And just whoops your ass up
Yeah,
and down
exactly.
the pool table. Well, it flips up at the 10-8.
That was a limp pot, though.
Yeah, not that dramatic, but
All right, here's some of the chip counts. 6,000 for Alex now, just about. Dudley with 5,000. Bart the same. All the way down to Master Kim with 325.
broke my home and bringing up a point. I think people play it different on the stream because they get nervous to be critiqued. So, well, I mean, I don't think it necessarily means like by us. It's just like, you know, I've gotten used to comment sections by now. It's just sort of like, okay, this is a valid point. This is like,
the comment as a collective is the best player in the world.
yeah, exactly. That is undefeated. 10 times. You know, it's got 10 circuit rings.
Wow, Chris limped under the gun.
What? Or maybe he's straddling?
See, I think that's not something I see Chris do often. So, very interested to see why he did that. And it's going to work out because it goes raise 3-bet.
That's one of my favorite places to go offshore. What is it? Southern Mama. It's just like lots of really good cold dishes, like fresh seafood. Like
I like this 3-bet by Alex. I personally would have done it as well against Coins. Coins is just generally very wide. So 3-betting here is pretty good. I personally would have chosen a slightly smaller size because I don't want Coins to fold when I have this hand. I kind of just want him to call. So maybe like 140 or something. Wow, I'm really shocked to see this.
Whoa.
Well, you're gonna get some
licking his chops here.
You're gonna
Look
get
at
some
this.
bad use from Coins right now. He's not going anywhere.
that is my favorite.
Chris is about to get introduced to the coins.
He needs to find
here.
an ace quick, and he needs Alex to fold.
Yeah, I love sage.
I think Alex is actually gonna fold.
Very pricey, but very good.
What this kid's doing? What this kid's doing? Alex is my favorite now.
Yeah, he's a really good tennis player too.
Well, I
think.
mean, he's from Ukraine, but he's wearing an Italian brand.
Yeah, he is a baller, that's for sure.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. I haven't been to the mansion. I went to.
Yeah, and in the years being here, he's never gotten on the line. He's not really ever a dick to anybody. Like that's.
No, he's awesome. He got super cooler the other night and just like took it right to the chin. Just like, he's like, wow, that's sick.
Yeah.
I like people like that. Now Chris needs to find one of the 2 remaining aces in a hurry.
It's probably in the back of my Christian's probably ripping me so bad right now.
Well, that is
Nah.
not good. I think you should check fold. Just check, bro. He just like called your 4-bet cold. Just check, man. I know you have a diamond, but just check. Oh, the tricky check back.
Oh.
The tricky check back.
Oh,
he's
that's
gonna
a
get
good
him.
card, though. That might keep Chris in it.
Yeah, he can't fold now. He's gonna check again.
Yeah, that's the best book thing ever.
He's gonna check again, and he's gonna feel. He's gonna be like, okay, I can check now. I have showdown value. I have river equity distribution. All the terms of
all
soft
those
wire
are, like,
coming out of his
exploding
head
right
right
in his
now.
brain.
They're all just exploding. They're just like river
Yeah.
equity distribution, realization of
What
equity. What is
what
going
in the
on?
world is going on in this game?
All right, now I want Chris to hit a diamond. Yes,
Oh,
yes,
my goodness.
yes.
See, he was planning this all along. You just knew you'd get it right to the river as.
I tell everybody to go there.
Okay,
when they
it's
go,
just
when they go,
1.4 of the pot. Like,
They have to go twice.
what size do you choose here?
I don't know.
I
mean, this hand is-
misspelled. I'm like, what? And
This hand
there's
doesn't
no
ex-
playbook for checking 3 streets, and
I think you just like shove and hope that he has a diamond. Like,
What if you go like on a Wednesday night?
yeah,
No, I usually actually in the morning.
what is this?
sloppy bet.
Yeah, sure.
Well, they only have 2 tables,
No, yeah, he's definitely getting called here. But
The lunch is the dinner.
he's gonna be shocked that coins at kings. Well, you could probably take a screenshot of that and send that to him as a meme, as far as when your opponent turns over a
man.
hand that you would have
Very
never
lucky.
checked back.
Very lucky.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I was getting the coin sound all looped up here and denied us that
You were
right.
you were a favorite for the coin sound.
I mean, it was had the potential to have that kind of big of a pot, but it's with no turn bet out there. It's
Everything is so aligned.
yeah. The audience loves it. I'm just trying to make sure it doesn't jump the shark that you do it too much. People are just like, okay, I'm over this bit. But that's a nice hand there for Chris. It's been fairly quiet.
Very lucky.
Yeah, very, very fortunate.
Yeah, I think that Coins wants to put in some bets, especially when Chris starts playing passively. Yeah.
Now the chat's just starting to see this.
or just one set. Give me a spoon.
Oh, that's funny.
No chopsticks, just a spoon.
We'll put that down as a potential candidate for hand of the night.
Whoa, radio. Nobody.
What?
Ace King wants to raise here. You just want to raise, knock out people out of the pot. Maybe he's going for the limp raise.
We left that on this thing.
Bet it up, man. Bet it up. Here goes the black chip. Bet it up. Come on, man. Good time to raise. Real good time to raise right about now.
Wow, we're going.
This is like a
The
family
cards
pot.
almost don't fit on the screen anymore.
It's rude to raise.
Ace, King, Queen. That's going to give Coins the nuts and Radio top 2 pair. Coins probably betting. Oh, he's betting huge. He's all in.
That you're all in?
This.
I don't know how you can fold here. I think you just call. It sucks though because like you still have all these people behind you. But it's so unlikely he has Jack 10. The board is rainbow. He has no incentive to have Jack 10 here, but he does. Yeah, it's unlucky for Radio just because your opponent's so unlikely to have Jack 10 when he just like overbets the pot here on a rainbow board. But he does have Jack 10 because he's coins.
Once or twice?
Yeah, maybe this was a bomb pot. Is that?
I'm giving you
No, it
that,
wasn't. It
man.
wasn't a love pot. It was just straight.
It was just everybody limped, and
It felt
it was
like
an unofficial bomb pot.
yeah,
Like
it was
it's.
a love pot.
What did you get to play any of those double board ones this week?
I did. They were very new to me, and I made a drastic error on one. I made a big fold because I didn't understand how things work. And then I was rewarded in another one where I flopped a set on 2 boards, which is obviously ridiculously strong.
Yeah, that's.
But on the first one, I had a set of 9s on Ace 9-3 on the top and Queen Jack Deuce on the bottom. So I'm like, well, what happens here? Like I'm playing, and then it goes like all in front of me, and I'm like, well, I'm only playing for
Okay.
half, and someone could have aces, so I fold. And one guy had Ace Queen, and the other guy had like Ace Jack, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's people love him here. They
No,
want him
it's
every
great.
round. It's just like
I've heard there's like entire,
What's your name?
entire just like bomb pot games.
they don't. I rarely see them. When we started doing the bomb pots, we had a certain group that liked to, like there was a $25 like PLO double board bomb pot games. I think it was like 20 or 50 or something like that, where you just all anteed in, and I don't think that lasted for very long. But I appreciate anybody who tries to go outside the norm of the poker world and try to do something different. It was, oh my God, that was a very confusing game. No. Just got Wade out here with the 9 Triz, TCH kind of hand. And a whole lot of junk here otherwise. So top pair for Master Kim. Backdoor diamonds here for coins. Guttable. And that's about as good a card as you can ask there for coins. Straight flush draw, pair draw. All right, 10 on the end. As playing the checking game here, the 9 of 5-5. What's going on, Sage? Victoria accused me of jinxing because I'm talking about the coin sound. So, all right, I'm never going to talk about it again. All right, we got a bet 60 and.
I'd play the house hand 9-3.
Whoops, Sage. About a fun. He and his brother, like pretty fun dudes. Always glad to have him back here. As, if you want to sign up for future Texas Card House live games, that list building is going to be moving to TexasCardHouse.com. It's not quite gotten there yet to launch, but that is the plan. Otherwise, call our front desk at 512-956-7195. You can check out TexasCardHouse.com for any other information and all info.
Is it like General Tso's chicken?
What's up?
Is it like General Tso's chicken or not?
No, because there's no sauce, and there's a lot of numbing peppercorns.
So we got like a sleeper straddle on, it looks like.
Yeah. So if the first person to the left of the straddle folds, that sleeper is live, or that straddle rather. So
Yep.
it's live. $20. $20 straddle for Master Kim. Kevin with King Jack suited. He's gonna come in for a raise. 60.
We went to Terry. Yeah. It's good fun. I'm just not a barbecue fan in general.
Wow. Chris just said he's not a barbecue fan in general. This is the wrong place to speak like that.
What?
What? You can't just say that in Texas.
Yeah, you can get thrown right out of the state. That
Yeah,
is like
that's
the
insane.
bar still like.
You
You
can't
get
say
people stand up and
this.
say, "What in the hell did
Yeah.
you just say?"
Listen, boy,
Listen,
you're
you.
not gonna come here.
I don't know what big fancy city you come from here, but down here in Texas, we respect
Barbecue.
barbecue.
Yeah, that's crazy. You can't say that, man. You just can't say that.
No, it's like saying something bad about somebody's mother here, man. That's about that close.
Ace on the turn. Kevin has the most aces as played, as we saw a lead in a call. He has ace king, ace jack of clubs, ace queen of clubs, ace jack of diamonds, ace queen of diamonds, ace king of diamonds, and he recognizes that and he fires out the bet because Kevin is a gangster.
Hell yes.
But so is coins, so he's gonna call.
Yeah, that's.
And that's going to bring in Master Kim. Kim does not want to see a queen. Little does he know.
And 8.
8 is definitely tricky. Although, not many players should really contain a hand that contains an 8 here. But it's still problematic because Kevin's dealing with 2 opponents. I think that Ace King and Ace Queen would still bet this river, so Kevin can fire off again if he thinks that he can shake his opponents off a 10. But he doesn't.
Yeah,
He
no,
knocks
not
it
blitz.
down. Coins!
It's that coin sets. It's that fear equity that you're gonna get called
Yeah.
here by the coins.
I would be, yeah, I would agree. Like, I wouldn't
Yeah, I
think
think
Coins is going to just fold. There it is.
Just a little one. Just a little power up. Gets 98 more, then it gets a new life. So Maybe if he gets stacked, we can get the dun 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 dun. Oh. What are the Mario dies noise? I think somebody in the chat suggested that. I feel like we need a whole soundboard, but I want to turn into like wacky morning DJ, like a toilet flushes and
Oh my god.
yeah. Like I don't want to get too hacky, but I'm like we if we can kind of develop gags here over time, I'm all for it. So. I feel bad because I make fun of like morning DJs too much, and we had one on, and I was like, "Oh shit, sorry, not you. You do a great job. It's everybody else."
Action folds around. Bart's gonna play.
What does Eli have there? That looks
nice. Probably some barbecue that Chris doesn't want.
Yeah, he's just gonna. They're just gonna start trolling him with just get ordered all this brisket and sausage. Like, it's pretty good. Only pussies wouldn't like this stuff.
They should.
This delicate barbecue sauce with it. Shame if I didn't have any of it. All right, we're back to the action.
King 9. This is probably going to be a check around. It's a fair amount of gut shots, so this isn't a board that Bart would fire 100, especially not multi-way. Maybe if this was cut off for his big blind, he probably fires 100, but not 100 as in dollars, just like 100% of the time he fires. But definitely not multi-way, and definitely not on a board with a fair amount of gut shots.
Checked all the way around.
You even convinced me. I was like, oh shit, I'm just saying
I think Bart can bet. He's pretty far down in his distribution. He might get a 9 to sometimes fold. But Wadio's taking that away, it seems.
He's got the golf ball card protector. Can't say I see that too often, but looks like a Pro V1. Oh, Master Kim with 10 high. Dealer frantically like, come on, somebody's got to show me a winner. Get the hell out here. So 10 high is going to be good.
Oh man, I was thinking about bluffing his ass.
Another night here at Texas Cardhouse. Again, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, continuing to keep growing. Appreciate all you guys' support. I mean, we've had people that feel like have been here for every single effing episode. So contribution is not lost on us. Again, hit thumbs up, support our channel. Also, make sure to subscribe to Solve for Wise channel. So when you got the, like when you guys are doing like this 5-handed run it up, like poker out lots, those are really good. Yeah, it was, and that environment, I think I was talking with Chris about it too. It's got like you got the arcade games in there. It's got that feel of a good old-fashioned home game.
Yeah, that's the whole point. I think that getting a nice atmosphere, kind of changing the tonality, I guess, of what poker has been for maybe the last couple of years, where it's just like very serious, high-stakes streams.
Yeah.
People really trying, is important. Like at the end of the day, like we're here to have fun, gamble.
I think there might be a pretty hefty straddle on there.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Dudley's a conservative player. When he's opening 300 here, he means business. Ace King's still very strong, so he's 3-betting to 8.
Oh, there was a significant straddle. Okay,
yeah,
so there
80.
was. Yeah, Master Kim just basically put half his chips in there, and then.
Yeah, I believe the straddle was to 80, and then Dudley made 3, and now he has 10s. Oh, okay. Excuse me.
Okay, so 105 was the straddle. Is that right?
Straddle was to 105, and
Yep.
now Dudley made it 300, got 3-bet to 800, and then Master Kim decided to throw it in with the Queen Deuce suited, and he's live against Bart.
Yeah. Helps him get 10s out of the way, but
9, 8, 10 or something.
Yeah, that 3-bet, if 10s is just folding, it's printing a lot of money, which is very good.
well,
Kim's still alive. Now he's
oh,
ahead.
it makes 2 pair.
Boom.
Doesn't get counterfeited. Well, sometimes you just have to straddle the 105 with the majority of your chips and get it in against Ace King. I don't know if that's going to be in any of your monthly masterminds coming up, but
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely need a mastermind on multiple straddle strategy
Not horny anymore, is it?
and
No.
limp re-raising with Ace Jack and finding the river fold.
not naming names or anything. But
Yeah.
Chris, well, no. Yeah, that was,
That's a really significant pot for Master Kim. He triples up.
yeah, that is, he's been on the short end of things here for a while. Bart gets a little bit unlucky there, but yeah, Chris did a really nice job on what I listened to. I was only here for about an hour conversation, and then passed it off to Bart. And
Yeah,
usually the chat is full of haters, and you know, most people are pretty like, yeah, this kid knows his stuff.
well, yeah, I taught him.
Except for you guys. You guys in the chat are awesome and clear fans of the program.
No, I
Undying
thought,
loyalty.
I really did want him to try it. It was his first time doing a stream, and it was my idea where I was like, hey, like maybe you should jump in and see if you like it, you know.
All right, 3-bet here by Master Kim. Okay. Kev, a.k.a. K-Dog, a.k.a. Dayjob, a.k.a. Kevin Apple.
This is a tricky spot because Master Kim is so volatile that 9s feels very strong, but he did put it over a third of his stack.
Eli wants to gamble, though. That's...
No, I believe it.
No, I thought he might have actually just like, okay, why the hell not? But no, that is not going to be happening. Well, we're coming down here to the home stretch, the 4th quarter, the final hour here of our live stream. Give a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button if you're a first-time viewer. Again, if you have not used it yet, that is a free hour credit to any of our Texas Card House locations. I still actually haven't used my free hour here yet as a loyal TCH Live subscriber.
Nice.
So I work quite a bit outside of here between the sports commentary side, the dealing side, and just here with the live streams. But I feel like I'm getting like overly educated before I can kind of jump back into the games. That I hope I don't get my decisions kind of stuck in a loop because if you're thinking so much about
it's
all the
always-
advice you've gotten.
You'd be surprised. It's often 2 steps back, 1 step forward, or
Yep.
however that is. It's like 1 step back, 2 steps forward. So chat, help me out.
Yeah.
I forgot which
It's
one
like
it is.
it's usually like 2 steps, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Like that. That generally. I mean, you can take 2 steps back and then 1 step forward, but
But that leads you.
I think
1
as you
step
get
back.
more experience, it's a little more steady and consistent. You can be able to be like, okay, I'm doing the thing that I screw up here. Like you can. Whereas I think when you don't have as much experience, you're not as self-aware of what the leaks are. But just over time, you're just like, oh yeah, I do this thing where I don't 3-bet enough, and now when I've done it, I'm just getting no action. So
Put on the 40, Chris. Come on.
come on. You've already offended our audience by barbecue remarks.
Barbecue, huh?
And if you want to prove Chris wrong, you come on here on Saturdays. We've got Free Rudy's Barbecue, which
It was really good.
you're able to still kind of stay within your diet then?
Yeah, barbecue is
Yeah.
just like I just try to take the high protein stuff and
Yeah.
leave the carbs out.
No, you're not going to do the potato salad and all that kind of. It's just you get the meats.
Yeah, that's what I like. Wow, Wadio wasn't there. Had to fold the king queen suited. That sucks. King queen suited is nice.
Yeah.
Good fold by
King
Kevin. Bart finds the good fold.
No, that's beyond spice. That's just bad. That's just.
Coins is in. 3-way to the flop.
But man, if I was on that Hot Wheel show, I would go to the end because I see how it is.
All right, 3 ways here to a flop. Ace 9, ace deuce. 8-5. Boom. Not a wow.
Still a tough board for Alex.
One of the guys shit his pants too. Yeah. I think it was Bobby Lee, the comedian Bobby Lee. I think he shit his pants there, yeah. And then DJ Khaled made it to 2 wings and he quit. Yeah. Yeah, forget it. Sits there and talks so much shit.
Checks around
Shows
again.
everybody records saying we're the best. You can't
At this point, Ace 9 high has some showdown value. Probably just check. He's gonna
No,
win.
Sean Evans is a great interviewer. And they actually answer the questions truthfully. 'cause
Yeah,
they've
I'll
got all the
chop it up.
boyfriend
Yep.
questions in their head, so it's almost like
Playing the old guess which number in the chat game, and I just crushed it. So I'm going to have $3,000. It's in print. If I don't get it, I'm taking RGJR to court. It's my answer of 11 billion. Enough to pocket me some coins here on the. No, oh, $1. Okay, my bad. I got really excited here, Christian. Thought it was going to be exponentially outgrowing my earnings here tonight, but some people they just bring you on a joyride and take it right away. But again, if you guys want to drop where you're watching tonight, by all means, tell us where you're watching from, whether it be here in Texas, out in Antarctica, possibly in Colombia.
Nice.
I mean, I'm all ears. Like, give me a legitimate reason to say your location. Maybe I think I need some more coffee or something.
All right, coins is in.
Get Jared in Iowa City. Go Hawks. Dallas College Station. Porto. Yes. Danny asking, how has the coronavirus affected live poker in Austin? Are y'all taking precautions? I
Wash your hands.
washing hands more. I'm coughing on people less. I used to love to do that. Just, no, I would never do such a thing. But, okay, we got Jacksonville, Richmond, Virginia. One guy's on the toilet, where a lot of our viewers like to, when they're in the comment section. The Netherlands, Honolulu, Detroit, Australia.
Chris, you got to put the 10 on. What's going on?
Come on, Chris.
No. No.
Amsterdam.
You're the
AKA
10.
Amsterdam.
No, you're the 10.
Any of the Wire fans will get that reference out in Amsterdam.
Wait, did he not put the oh, no, Chris. You're
Disappointing.
You're the 10.
Not mad, just disappointed. That's all.
No, Chris.
What? All right.
Chris, you're the 10. You should have been the 20. He doesn't deserve to win this hand. This should go ace on the turn, king on the river. All right, he's up. All right, this is a small mistake. So he's up against the small blind, which has a concentration of this kind of a board, which means that Chris doesn't get to down bet this board for $15. So he has a kind of a low frequency betting here, which doesn't mean he gets to bet 15. He chooses the 15, and now the river's a king. How I said it was gonna happen.
Eli's coming. It's a sizable bet to 80.
And
It
he's
says, what were you saying about barbecue there, buddy?
nuts.
All right, so we got Brighton, England, Siberia. I don't think that's a real place. Victoria, Texas, Brazil. That's exactly how I wrote it. Chicago, Los Angeles, Toronto, Houston. But yeah, the coronavirus thing, like, I don't know. Did you see the guy that was wearing the full-on gas mask and the gloves and all that stuff? And
Yeah, I saw it. I don't want to downplay it. Like it is a
serious issue, but
it's a real thing. But at the same time, it's like you have a choice. It's like, are you gonna stay home, or are you going to go play poker? And it's like, if you want to go play poker, just take the necessary precautions. It's like, you should wash your hands. You should stay away from whatever you think is not conducive for your healthy environment or whatever.
No, the guy Robert was kind of doing it as a bit, like he wasn't seriously like.
Yeah,
But it was still just like, of all the things I saw, and I'm like, this is going to be a really good day. We're going to have a lot to laugh at. So, all right, we've got open unders here on the top end and the bottom end. And
Really terrifying to watch. It's not understanding.
Still a tough spot for Kevin,
But the
but
percentages help.
he should.
So it'd be like,
I assume he's the original raiser, so he's betting. I think this would go both ways. You can check sometimes, you can bet. The 8 of hearts is kind of a key card that kind of allows you to bet more often. 8 of spades. I actually want to see coins lead here. I think this is a really good card for coins' overall range. Like, he has straights, he has flushes, he has 2 pair. Kevin's going to be leading more towards like the over pairs, things like that. But now he gets the other end of the straight.
yeah, he's got the big straight, the deuce to 8 straight. That's
Yeah.
smacking the entire board.
Yeah, he literally has a 7-card straight. That's crazy.
Kevin should have an easy path out of this, but
Nothing's easy against coins.
no, it is not very cut and dry.
But I mean, your hand's really bad. So.
I think more of the players just worried they're going to have to go to the replay and then hear the coin sound. It's like getting dunked on. Like, it's already bad enough you lost the hand and a signature sound, but Kevin's still thinking about it.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's coins.
Yeah, they could have all sorts of crazy stuff here, but
He could just have like queen 6, but he has the 7-card straight.
just a mini one. God help it if coins wins like a 20K pot or something.
He can do it.
Especially in this game where, like, you obviously saw like this weekend, like it got massive pretty quickly with the straddles on. And if you haven't watched that, I'm not saying shame on you, but hey, shame on you. Go check that out. It's
But
good.
don't take this off right now. To do it.
Yeah. I'm saying
Like
after
later.
this is done,
game of choice in
Yeah.
Vegas.
quit your job.
Status, my
For
flight
just
I
put your
love
family
playing
aside. Just watch all the TCH live episodes.
Caps man myself.
Oh, I love it, man.
They'll want you to do it. No, don't do any of those things.
We can put $5 down
But-
on each of the, where the guy hits
Yeah,
the point.
all
Even like
small,
fast
small.
forwarding
Yeah.
to it, like even on the commentary or not, like some of them is like I will just go through it and run it at high speeds just to see if there's anything that interesting maybe that I forgot about or.
The issue with that bet is they dropped the odds.
But again,
on it. Every
we
time I
keep
go,
all
it's
those
like
archives up for y'all.
Yeah, it was 176 to 1 when I
So
first
every
started.
episode thus far still on the channel.
Yeah, I would hit the front part. And then
Wait out here with the
we won
raise up.
like, $800, and then on a $5 bet call, and then they hit both, and then we won an additional 1,400 or something. And it was like $2,200. I've never done that before.
Yeah, it's a cool bet.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing about the Corona stuff is like there seems to be 2 reactions. Like the media's overreacting, or like we're not overreacting enough, and it's just like there's.
Yeah, it's
It's
polarizing.
such a hard thing to talk about because it's just like there's little variables in it where people are right, but it's also like you should just respond accordingly, check in with people that might be the older crowd that might be susceptible to it, wash your hands, and pray to God that our government gets its act together.
$60 with the gut shot for Kevin. Bart floats the flop here. Looking to make a future street. Oh no, it looks like he folded. That was
All right.
turn 4 of diamonds. Kevin now with the open-ended. Now with the straight to the 6. which also brings in Coins with the straight to the 5. This is just going to get very quickly called, I think. And winner. Nice hand, Kevin. $1,000 pot.
You're trying to get it, huh?
You're a Knicks fan since you grew up out on the East Coast, or you're one of the? You
I actually am a Laker fan
There you go.
since like forever now. Since like Kobe was in the league.
Not for coming out trash right now. Yeah,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people around the country that.
I think Laker fans are like a little bit widespread.
Yeah, it's one of those teams that you can
Yeah.
follow nationally. It's kind of like same with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
that if you
exactly.
see them on national TV a lot, it's easy to be able to explain that. Whereas, like, if you're in Florida,
Yeah.
you're like, I'm a Steelers fan. I'm like,
Like,
how?
wait,
Like,
how-
how?
yeah, how
Like, I
did
meet
you-
Texas Packer fans, and I want to punch them. It's like, I like Aaron Rodgers. And it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, how
You
did
got to pick somebody local.
What happened to you? Who hurt you?
Yeah,
Like,
why would you? Yeah, exactly. So I asked the Knicks fans, and they just feel like they could take the punishment every day. So we're not going to get any sell the team chance. But we delve into a little basketball stuff every now and again. As again, these are 4 to 6 hour live streams, so it's just sort of like, okay, we can take sidebars here and there.
Yeah. Radio puts on. Okay, I think he put the straddle on, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I saw the sleeper. Was that?
All right, so it says he raised. So let's see. Okay, so he raised to 20. We're going heads up to the flop. Okay, a little bit for everyone. Coins with the queen deuce is going to come in for the pot-sized bet. Kind of an annoying spot if you have an 8 here, but I think you have to call one time.
Right.
Mostly because your 7 is clean, you have backdoor straight draw.
Hey, there's sodas in that refrigerator. Oh, there? Yeah, yeah.
It looks like he's just going to find a good fold. Oh. Oh, shows it. Wow. Oh, shows it again.
Yeah, that one does not get the sound. So
What's the bottom end?
I think like 500. So it's got to be 500, and then like
$500
multiples of 5. So it's like a 3K pot. Like they're talking 6. I mean, I'm not great at math, but that's
So
seems like
500
it seems
gets,
fair.
Okay, 500 gets you 1 coin.
Yep.
Okay,
That's our currency exchange here as far as sound.
So Coins is like he's a regular on the show. because
He
we
has
have, like,
been, I think, at least 5 or 6 times. So, but he's also kind of progressed in some ways that I think after watching and consulting, he seems to add a little wrinkle to it, which keeps things interesting. It's
like
like
it.
nobody wants to see everybody fold every hand here all night. That's what Brooke Mahoma was needling in the chat. It said you got to. Okay, what does he say here? Chris, you need to school your boy on live poker ethics. But it's like, yeah, I think everybody's agreeing that you generally kind of troll Chris enough as it is.
You just have to put the straddle on. You can't.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I'll talk to him.
Yeah, well, we'll get it straightened out here. But Bart with a raise up at 10-9. Here comes Eli's Kings.
Yeah, I think this is going to end up. Well, they're pretty deep. I kind of like Bart peeling this.
I'm going to ask what Master Kim has.
Yeah, that's the only problem with Bart. Like, he wants to call, and he should. The problem is once Master Kim comes along, it's a little bit of a problem. But he's hoping Master Kim just folds. But I never knew Master Kim to be a folder for the 3 hours I've known him. So this is a little bit of a negative for Bart because he's
Yeah, he has good calls.
The
but
SPR with Master Kim is very low. That doesn't matter anymore.
Nope. Eli is in a little bit of trouble here.
I like this check from. Ooh, I don't love that check, but let's see what happens. I'm a little confused on the Bart check. I'm curious why he chose that option. because now I'm unsure how he ends up stacking Eli. There's no real path. Now Eli just calls the 310 and he never gets to stack Eli, which is part of the reason why we called the 4-bet. Interesting. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
He also loses action potentially on an 8 or 9 river here. Yeah, like Kings just
Yeah,
can't.
it's tough to pay off with Kings in the spot.
Yeah, well, effectively now Bart has to choose a really small size because Eli has an overpair, but if you put too much pressure, he just folds. So I expect him to bet like 500, 600 maybe. I think, wow, he just snaps this?
Wow.
Okay. I mean, Bart knows his player pool well, so maybe he thought this line was the maximum, like the maximum way to extract value. It's a, yeah, I'm just gonna assume that Bart knows how these players play a lot more than me. But
Yeah, I
generally,
think he's.
but
No,
generally-
they had like a post that he's been watching
Yeah.
all these, so that.
yeah, but generally speaking, I think the normal path would be for Bart to just bet the flop, and then once Eli calls, we assume he has a concentration of overpairs and like maybe some ace king suited, and then we just play accordingly that way and balance with us having like queen jack suited and things like that in our range that might just like bet and things like that. So maybe some ace wheel suiteds that we would play similarly, so the board was like 10 10 7. Maybe if we have like ace 5 suited of a backdoor, we would try to like bet the flop, consider betting the flop, and potentially go off. Maybe some queen jack suited that goes off, things like that. So I'm a little bit, you know, it was a very
Yeah, it's.
it was a very exploitative spot, I think, that Bart chose. But like I said, his opponent called 800 on the river, so it seems like he has a very good pulse of how these players play and the path to get them to making mistakes, which is very, very good. Kudos to Bart there.
Yeah, you get. Either way, wound up the winner. Wound up with some more chips up front. As another hand of the night candidate as far as one that we may add here to the highlight reel. Again, if you guys put your vote in for hand of the night here in the
Hand of the
comment
night so
section,
far.
chat box.
Is it good? He's 4-betting?
Oh, here's a pen. I had to dig in to many of the pockets in the Sulfur Y hoodie. Very, very comfortable.
I see you rocking the hoodie. That's nice.
And a hat, too. I
Nice.
wasn't even expecting you were going to be here, so just like, oh, okay, wore this.
I
last-
know,
it's
it's a real thing. You weren't even expecting me to
No,
come. so
I
it's
was just
good.
like, no, this is actually really, and I will rep any free merch anybody gives me. So I
Nice.
was very thankful. They're like, yeah, I gotta grab one. I'm like, yeah, you guys are awesome.
Eli here with a gut shot. Wow, big bet. There's some big bets coming out tonight. Wow, shove. Master Kim, this is going to be really good news for Eli.
What do you want to do? Twice? Okay, we did twice.
Do a hat right now.
I just have to leave.
It's the kicker, the problem for Master Kim.
Yeah, whatever it is, I call it. Yeah. 2 times. Yeah. Oh. Catch it.
One more.
I have a queen.
Eli's in dominating shape.
Yeah. I think that's board number 1. I think the group can run it twice.
Yeah, unfortunately for Kim, this was like worst case scenario.
And be a winner there for Eli. Say hello to Maxwell Heinrich. Was on one of the live streams. Guy came, had a trip through Austin and is from North Carolina. So swung by. Had one of our more explosive live streams, but word is starting to get out there. So If you ever want to make a trip here through
Probably
Austin,
didn't need to either.
sign-ups will be at the Texas Card House, or you can call the front desk 512-956-7195. Try to maybe call a week in advance if you want to get on the list for some of these. Big hand there for Eli. Maybe we'll get another player here for the back half of this. I think we got about another 40 minutes or so left of the stream.
Does this game continue after the stream goes off?
It's touch and go. Some will and some won't. Sometimes they may go to shorthanded. Sometimes they might go like, okay, I'd like this 1-3 game more. There might be another 5-5. So
I see what you're saying.
every week it seems like it's different, but for the most part, if it's a good game, the players will stay in it. So
Sweet. Maybe I'll,
if you still want to get some
Maybe.
more action, you probably can.
maybe I'll jump in and last. Not right now, but as soon
Right.
as the cameras go off. Kevin looking for a 6. Not coming this time, but coins. Flops the queen high flush, and Bart with the king high flush.
That's all the flush draw looks like.
What?
It's one spade there with a jack.
Is
Oh, the flush draw, you man.
Yeah, flush draw.
Okay, so yeah, pairing the flush draw. Yeah, boy, we're getting kind of loopy here towards the end.
King high
It's
flush
like-
draw versus queen high flush.
Yeah, people don't know how to stay out tired to get 3 hours into this. All right, we're good. Let's see it.
Oh. All right, so coins is trying to avoid a club. Bart trying to find it. And if he does, I assume he just felt coins.
Yep.
boy.
Oh, goodness.
This is really
Flush
bad
over
news for
flush.
coins. This is very likely to get in. Just the relative strength of coins' hand. And he bets pot. When he bets pot, I think that coins should just call. No.
Oh, did he jam? Bart's just going to check. Yep, I still got the nuts, right? Yep. And the reverse coins.
Yeah,
That's
this is the thing. When Bart chooses the pot size bet on the turn 9 after being the original raiser, Bart doesn't have a set of aces. Bart doesn't have a set of jacks anymore. He's representing the king of clubs, almost exclusively. Now, he doesn't have many king X of clubs naked. Sorry, no, I missaid that. He doesn't have too many offsuit kings that he opens from early position at all. So when he bets pot, he's representing a polarized range, that of which is no longer contains sets, but it does contain the king of clubs. Given that he doesn't have that many offsuit kings in that position, it means that he's like pretty imbalanced to just having flushes, that of which often contain the king of clubs or the queen of clubs. You have the queen of clubs in your hand, meaning that he's weighted towards just straight value that beats you or a bluff. So you just call and then hope he slows down on rivers.
well. I feel like we're obligated.
Oh no.
That's a low blow. I'm sorry, coins. Maybe he'll re-chip up here and get back in the game, but Bart Hansen gets his stack.
I mean, yeah. It's unfortunate because he had such a strong hand. It's on a deeper level and like analyzing it like that, it's very unlikely that Bart is balancing a pot size bet on that turn. But like I said earlier, Bart is probably very in tune exploitatively on how these players play, and he just knows that he should bet pot and his opponents will make mistakes and he gets paid, and he did both times.
Right, both.
Like both times I would have took a slightly different line and maybe made less, maybe made more, who knows. But like what the results say is that Bart has made a lot of chips right now.
Guido makes a straight
You know.
here, Eli, with a pair of flush draw.
Nathan M, are you still in the room? I have a seat for you on the T6 live table.
straight to the 8, but that gives Eli 2 pair. So that's bad news for Eli. Eli's not betting. 125. You should probably raise this. Facing, that's really small.
I could see him just playing the cautious route here, just calling here on the end. But I think, yeah, you're 100% right that it's. And that's one of the margins there as a cash game player where you miss out on potential profit. It's just
Almost always, this is a funny sign. Like when you call and you turn your hand over first and you think it's good, you probably should have raised.
Yep. Again, like and subscribe. Over 6,700 subscribers, and I don't know if we have like an end goal in mind, but man, I would love to get to like 10K by. That's the next benchmark. I don't know if it really matters, but again, we still love to
It's
kind
always
of
good
keep
to have
growing
a goal,
our audience.
you know?
It's just kind of fun to just sort of watch something grow. That I think I had fairly low expectations from the start. Well, I guess I should say that, but it was like people love poker, man. I can't get enough content. And appreciate
love
our
poker and
audience
people
that
love
have gone all in on us.
People love also development of characters. Like we've seen Alex now. We know Alex. We know he's from Ukraine. We know he likes to wear Armani. We know he likes to wear the shades.
Right.
We know Coins. We know Coins has a luxury vehicle that says Coins on it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
like that's cool. We
Poor
know
Coins.
we know Dudley shorts Tesla. Like we know that. Like there's things we know, and then we learn about people and we root for them and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Jesus
we know, and we know
Christ.
Chris does not like barbecue.
And we know
We're
Alex
straddling.
We know Alex. Yes, we know Chris doesn't like to straddle, and we know
All
Alex
kidding aside.
is just always getting ace king and just always in the worst spots. Ay, Alex. How does this keep happening to me? I think we just call. This is weird. I'm not sure actually. I mean, you can 5-bet. I guess you can 5-bet to like 800. 5-betting to 800 seems pretty nice. Calling also seems okay. In Ukraine, they don't do the calling thing, so here we go. 900? Wow, this is amazing for Bart.
Yeah, I think Bart has been living the dream. He goes set over set for a $16,000 pot against Westlake a couple of weeks ago, and now getting bet into here with aces. Bart's also kind of ran pretty bad on some of the other streams too, so it's like kind of balancing act in the poker world where
It comes in waves.
yep.
I mean, this is a dream spot. This is definitely not 80-20, right? There's no way. No, there's no way aces versus. This is definitely not true. There's no way. Maybe it is a way. I don't know. I don't think that Bart has a 6-bet bluff range, so he's probably just deciding if he's going to cool Alex off and just putting Alex on straight kings, or if he should just call. I think the standard here is to just call. Well, not standard,
Right.
obviously, but like, I think the better play, in my opinion, is to call because we don't have a 6-bet bluff range. Yeah, I just don't see how we could ever.
Yeah,
like, how can you bluff? 1950? Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it's just gonna chase Alex out of here, I think.
Maybe not, but we're not bluffing like this ever, right?
I
Like,
mean, maybe
you've
for
just-
boots, but that's.
But you just put in. He started the hand with 5,000. Like we've put in over a third of his stack. Like we're not gonna fold.
Guess maybe he heard your Ukrainian love ace king bet, and it's like, yeah, let's put this to the test here, Christian.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very, very concerned here. If Alex folds here, this would be very, very top notch. I just don't see how Bart can ever have a 6-bet bluff. Like, it's just only aces, I think. And we're committed to calling because we put in over 40% of his stack. Man, if Alex just folds, this would be so incredible. He put in a 6-bet. It's not balanced at all. Like, he put in 40% of your stack. Like, he just is committed to calling, so he's just has aces.
Oh, wow.
You can only fold ace king so many times.
Yeah. So is that just a call here, or is
Yeah,
that...
he just called.
Okay. Yeah, he'll...
Problem is that I can almost, without a doubt, say that Bart probably only has aces in this one. And I think I could say that with like confidence.
This
Game
could be a
over.
problem spot here for Alex, though.
I mean, it's pretty much game over. But at the same time, I don't think Bart is fist pumping seeing that king.
Yeah, like, I love this flop.
No, what I'm saying is I think that Bart is legitimately concerned with kings. And he should be.
So it's just not that many hands that are going to call a 6-bet there, except for that...
Yeah,
that,
like
that
it's
specific
kings,
hand. Like, it's the one
kings
that's
is,
like...
Kings is absolutely in Alex's range. I don't think it's unreasonable for Bart to just check. Not to fold, but like, you don't, like, I mean, it's, he has kings a lot. Maybe like an $800 bet is also fine. 900, quarter pot. It's also a matter of like how much ace king offsuit do you think Alex has? So there's 2 combos of ace, 2 remaining aces, 3 remaining kings. So you have 6 combos of ace king offsuit, 3 combos of king king.
Bad in a call here by Bart and Alex. He's got about 2.7 back. And that is a very spicy turn card.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that Bart should check. Like, he can't think that the EV of aces is super high on this spot.
It's another one of those hands that could be up against his queens. I don't normally would think so, but
Yeah, he checked, and I think Alex could just check back. He can't really get called by worse betting here, and he dominates everything he's ahead of.
could Alex think he might be free rolling here and might be up against ace king himself, or
Yeah, but you can't expect it to fold, right? Like it's
Right.
half pot left.
and he shoves all in here for 2.7, and Bart's like, I can't believe this, but he does not know how far in front he is.
Yeah, he doesn't beat anything. At least he thinks so, because this one's 6-bet and the king came, and then the queen came, and he's blocking ace king.
See if they're going to run it multiple times.
It's 11K pot.
Yep. Board number 1 is going to go to Mr. Bart.
He's a hardware king.
And
Those
he's going
aces
to Rick
win
both.
scoops.
$11,300 pot. Bart Hanson, a Crush Live Poker. New Austin, Texas resident. And on a pretty nice upswing in the past couple of episodes here of TCH Live. For all y'all Crush Live Poker folks out there. Let's see, look at our V-pips here as coins out for the night. So I think we're... enough. Alex is going to reload. Yeah, and that's like the case. It was like the 3rd or 4th or 5th time that Alex has had ace king, and maybe he just started to feel a little stubborn that, okay, I can't just keep folding this here, but got the kind of run out that he had to kind of commit to it versus no, that's like just say he missed the board, he could just be done with it. And
It's
it's a tough one, that's for sure.
it's annoying to keep folding ace king. It's not like at some point you start questioning, am I getting exploited? Are they
Yeah.
bluffing me? So that's kind of the problem.
Well, we are about into the last 20 minutes of the home stretch here on TCH Live. Get our next stream Thursday, 1-3 match the big stack.
This is a match the big stack game.
What's that?
Is this a match the big stack?
No, I
game?
mean, this is uncapped, so,
Oh,
anyway,
okay,
so
yeah.
I mean, if somebody wanted to sit down with like 20K, like they can go.
All right, let's go.
So it's
Let's turn this camera off. So I'm
yeah.
there.
Let's get it heated up here. So
I'm in. Just put that seat and put.
yeah,
the
right
shin.
there. Well, look, it's just seeing it on like a 20-minute delay, so who knows what has happened in the last. But you could probably take a peek out there and see if they're still running it, because I think.
Chris with. Oh, he didn't put the straddle on again.
Oh, we got Petey Boy coming in. Fan favorite Pete.
Oh man.
He is.
I have to.
one
I
of the
have to talk
funniest
to my
dudes here
boy
at this
Chris.
card
I have
house.
to. I have to talk to him. He has to put the straddle on. You can't not put the straddle on.
Let's see.
All right, so Chris raises from under the gun with Jack 10 suited. Gets called 3 in 3 different spots. Eli with Queen 3 suited, dominating Chris, and Ace 5 in pocket threes.
Off we go.
King 6 4.
Three is technically the best
Yeah.
hand, but
Chris is probably going to shut this one down. No diamond on the board, 4 ways. 10 is good, but it's a club. Chris can probably bet here for protection a little bit. I think I want to bet here. You don't necessarily want to check call. I mean, you'll do it, but it's not preferred. And just betting and winning the pot and denying some 10x's would be pretty good. I mean, sorry, some pocket pairs with clubs would be good. And he checks the river as well. I think on the river, I would like to see a bet. I think just betting and getting called by like some pocket pairs, maybe some ace highs that don't believe you, is just preferred there. Like our hand's relatively strong. You could bet something like 30 to 40% pot there and get called by worse fairly often, I think. Also, if your opponents were going to bluff, they were very likely to bluff the turn, which is like why he chose to check.
so added Pete into this. So I would probably guess maybe they'll keep this game going.
Let's go, man.
Yeah, that's.
I'm in.
Yeah, I can close out in here for the last 20 minutes if you want to just try to
Nah,
get on
nah.
the list.
I like
I can
doing-
handle it. I feel it.
I like doing my job in full.
Yeah,
And
dude,
then
dude,
once-
you're a start to finish kind of guy. All right.
It's like I can't just leave. The people are here listening.
Good night and a good weekend of views for us. I think the archives, everything collectively, like there's like 25K views on the Friday and the Sunday ones. Big Action always turns up more, and invite you to keep watching those archives. Play them here inside Texas Card House all the time.
Sweet.
No, so we'll have them up on the TVs long after.
Long after I've gone back to Vegas. Really big flop here for multiple players. 2 players with an open in the straight draw. Chris does not want to find a 7, but wouldn't mind seeing a club. Ace 8 suited, 5 ways. I prefer to just check. I think the hand has like relatively poor distribution going to turns and rivers. He's gonna get called. Oh, raise. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what Chris does now.
still thinking here.
What are you gonna do, Chris?
What are they gonna do? It's like that movie Speed. What do you do?
I think I would just call here against these players' ranges. I think that they just, you know, if everyone was super constructed and yeah, I get it. I get it. He thinks he's dominated in some way, but he's not. And effectively, if he was playing against players that are just not making errors, then I think he gets to fold. But, you know, Jack 10 offsuits in range, and he probably is not accounting for that hand in full, and he's not accounting for that hand raising flop and cold calling and ace 8 suited betting. So the more of those kind of things that are happening, the more he gets to just V-pip in that spot. The more that's not happening, the more his fold becomes good. But we're in Texas. Like,
Yeah, come on. Get with the program here, dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it worked out in this situation, but he
Yeah,
folded. But he folded 30% equity, which is not great, you know.
Yeah. I guess maybe is he thinking there in that spot that like his hand becomes pretty transparent when a tank fold call or a tank call after, but kind of spitballing as far as.
I think he's thinking he's dominated in some facet, but he's not. Not against these players. Like, these players are aggressive. They're putting in bets. They're trying to take down the pot without showdown. Against players that are just not doing that, yeah, he's going to be dominated more often because he's going to be up against clubs and those kind of things. But in this situation, he's just not. So for that reason, I think he should just flick in the call or flick in another bet. Either one is fine.
I had the 10 of clubs, so I was like, all right, he doesn't have to.
Maybe he puts in another raise there, but that I don't.
Well, he doesn't have to.
Yeah,
But I think he's up against enough aggressive ranges that he can just call, and then have enough confidence in himself to figure it out moving forward. Folding is fine. It's a by the book play, and if you're up against really strong players, then you can fold.
George in the chat ask Chin if he ever folds to a set of kings at that hand. I think he might be referring to the Bart.
I think the pot was already so big that I think that's why you saw Bart kind of hesitate, but then say like, okay, like I have to call because there's enough combinations of ace king that maybe I'm up against it sometimes. So he called it. But he's not fist pumping by any means. Like, it comes down to a combinatoric thing. Like, if he thinks he has ace king in full, then he has to account for the 2 remaining aces as well as 3 remaining kings. So that's 6 combos of ace king in full versus 3 combos of top set. So in that situation, there's 6 combos of ace king and 3 combos of top set, and you're getting laid a really good price. So you just call and hope that he has ace king this time, which he did. So congratulations to Bart.
Yep.
And yeah, running hot. Just nut flush versus second nut flush. Top set. I mean, fading top set and finding ace king. So yeah, that's great. I mean, he's a good player and he's running good. Like, he's up $8,000.
Yeah,
just like that.
A good night. Again, this is all relative to the restart that we did, maybe like an hour or so into the program. So I can't remember if I think he might have had a hand before the stream went down for a little bit. That could be even a little bit more. So again, like and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't yet. That's a free $10 credit or an hourly credit at any of our 3 locations. Just for being one of those awesome people that hit subscribe. Also, Solve for Wise YouTube channel. You definitely need to subscribe to. So. Get the vlogcast. You guys do that like once a week.
Yeah, there's also just going to be like 10-25 streams that happen rather often. We're aiming to do it once a week. as well as like, there was also a Poker Out Loud, like that was live stream, which is really fun.
Oh yeah,
No doubt.
they're really entertaining. I mean, like Chris was saying that, yeah, man, these hands take forever, but
Not
it's
on the
worth,
live
it's
stream.
worth it to go through it, but when you run into those spots.
Yeah, on the live stream, the hands go a lot faster than on the edited version,
Oh, okay.
so that's fun. Interesting spot for Nate as he's going to turn the.
Oh, Nasty Nate is in the game.
Wow, that's his name.
That's what he appeared in. He played one of the craziest hands that we ever had in TCH Live, one of the first episodes. We haven't seen him since, so I'm glad he didn't get like abducted or ran away or something. But
And he rivers the flush. I think Dudley wants to start checking, you know? You very rarely get called by worse here. It's really hard.
yeah, I think this would be if you enjoy a fun game. If this one's still going after the fact, I think
I'll get it.
you'll like this table.
I like all the tables.
Yeah.
But this table's fun too. 600. And that's going to take it down. Pick the jack. Yes.
Yes. I'm sure Dudley probably has a reasonable expectation as what the other card may be in that spot, but nonetheless, still fun to show that. But all right, last 10 minutes here of the stream.
Bart sitting with 15,000. Man, that's. I'm going to say 20.
So like, hello, Bart Hanson.
What's up, Bart?
Yeah, just
20,000.
yeah. Get the plaques out. Boom, like the mic drop and stuff. Like, that's a nice stack you got there, Bart. Yeah.
Kevin likes to raise these, I think. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that's definitely happening.
Boom. 25 probably. Or 20. One of the two. Raise it. I think Bart can V-pip this hand. He can also fold. He can also 3-bet. All options are kind of on the table here. It looks like he's going to 3-bet.
Interesting.
Cold call by ace-8 suited.
It's Pete. Welcome, Pete, here in the game. This guy I've played some beach volleyball against. He's
Wow.
always got,
This game is out of hand right now.
yeah, this is,
It's just like cold call.
Cold.
Cold call. Kevin's like, now what? I
Yeah,
guess I
this
call.
is ridiculous.
Eli's like, now what? I guess I call. 5-way 3-bet pot, you know, standard day. 585. This could get big.
yes.
Not on
Nobody
this
has- oh, yeah,
partic-
Pete
yeah,
has
this
ace,
flop
but-
just not great for anyone. But this might check through. No, not so fast. 300. That might win. It's tough for Queen Jack to continue. It does.
Jack 10's going to keep going. Eli will get out.
That's a really good card for Pete.
Yes. Kevin had the King 4 of diamonds, too. Yeah, there's a straight there for Nasty Nate. Getting
Wow.
nasty.
Wow, that's incredible. He found the offsuit king. He only had 3 outs. Kind of hard to represent a bluff here, so you probably want to size like 500, something like that. Can't really go big. You don't represent any bluffs. But
I don't think he's listening to you, but well,
yeah, it's really hard. Like, what are you bluffing with? You only have King Jack and King 10 as a bluff, that of which you may or may not try to take to showdown. And that's a quick
Pete
fold by
just
Pete.
rolls size. Like, all right, dude. Yeah, he played a hand against this dude Vittorio once where I think he had 10-9. Vittorio, this young kid, had like 8-7 or something like that. And flop came out like king 4-4, so it goes bet raise on the flop, 10-9 leads, 8-7 raise, nasty Nate calls. He turns a 10, and I think both the Vittorio stack was somewhere like 10K. I think they wound up getting it in on the river as he tried to bluff him off the hand. But Vittorio, the guy was like right here, Nate was right there. I'll send you the link because it was just pure absurdity that none of it made sense, but it was great television.
That's what
great
matters.
YouTube-ish television.
It's the new television. That's
yeah,
what it is.
it's great great content. That's
Great program.
great content.
Pocket nines for Eli. Raise it 75.
Nasty Nate here with 6-4 off. I guess everybody decides they want to play here.
This is an amazing game. It's just like hitting a 9 here is like infinitely profitable. But it just doesn't happen. Like, you don't deserve it.
It's got 6-4 in the mix. Kevin's got a straight draw, a weak one, but just trying to think of any hands that, yeah, we're going to bet Nicole's Pete.
I personally wouldn't bet 9s here into this many players. Like, you're just going to get resistance a lot. I think 6-4, if that was 6-4 of spades, can sometimes raise the flop. Repping, blocking 6-6, also having pretty good turn equity distribution, forcing ace-king into like a bluff catcher, which is, it's tough. If you get raised on the flop and you have ace-king,
It's just...
He makes it 200, you make it like 550, and all of a sudden just start going
just
crazy.
barrel on the turn.
Just start barreling. Ace-king loses its value. 9's turning itself into a bluff here. Looks like he chose a really small size, which is going to allow Pete to call again.
And it was a pre-flop raiser, so I guess, he could possibly put Pete on the hand that he has. That's just sort of like, okay. I'm trying to get a weaker ace to fold, but Pete can be kind of sticky sometimes, and good for him. He comes out here for a raise. A min raise, though.
But this is both players just don't want to face a passive action. Like, Edai doesn't want to check because he doesn't want to face a bet, and Pete doesn't want to call because he doesn't want to face another bet. Eli's call on the turn is very, very light, I think.
Yeah, that is...
This is going to go check now, I assume.
Pistol Petey. Or I joke with him on the table that if he was a wrestler, he'd be the Peter puncher.
Oh, it's
His
really...
finishing move would be the Peter punch, right in the gonads. Got a good kick out of that day. Almost made it here, Christian. We're almost to the end.
I'm surprised of this bet. I'm very surprised, but somehow Eli has a hand that is losing to ace-5. Because it's so unlikely. Eli bet the flop in a 6-way pot. Then he bet the turn and got raised. And then he called that raise. his range should be funneled to like strong ace X's or better, but it's not. So because of that, Pete somehow is clairvoyant enough to find the river bet here, and it's pretty spectacular.
Eli thinking. Promised him in the bathroom it wouldn't be too hard on him, but I said, that's me. That's okay, but. I guess they're just trying to figure out what bluffs he can have here. There just doesn't really seem to be any that
Just
would make sense.
4-5 even filled right now. So
Yeah.
it's-
Unless he had really anticipated Pete was going to float with something with diamonds in his hand, but it's just, there's just no hands. Maybe like a 6-7. Like again, it's just one of those things. But getting towards the end of the session, sometimes you just have some of those brain farts too, as well, that can talk yourself into a crazy spot here. But I'll give it up.
Yeah, it's a good fold. There's no card. I mean, if he pulls the 5, then they think he has 4-5. If he pulls the ace, then he has an ace.
Yeah.
That was really good. That was really good in terms of understanding where your opponent is exactly at. It's really hard to do. I personally would have just called the turn, and then maybe he just blows me off on the river. Who knows?
I just had a big pocket pair, man.
But yeah, that was pretty good.
It was a check raise on the
Little
turn.
pistol Petey can stack up some shit.
Pistol Petey, yeah, he's tricky, man. I was like, oh, he's gonna check the river. Nope.
No.
Sorry?
See how many more hands we have here on the live stream tonight. Again, Thursday we will have our match, the Big Stack game. Sunday, again, we're back in business with the $150 6K guarantee tournament with the final table streamed on TCH Live. We had the final table. You really should watch the archive of the final table of the 60K guarantee. We had Drunk Sam having a great time. We had Matt Berkey commentating and blowing us all to bits here as
Yeah, he's just
it's just like that guy just has such capacity. Like it just flows right. Like, and I played the tournament for 10 hours, and like I'm feeling like I got nothing left, and he's just eats. I probably just eat so clean that he just probably never feels fatigue, and that it's just sort of like he's got a well wired system here.
wow,
Oh,
it's a
actually,
big
flop.
hand. This is huge. Both players, wow, check is. This is a board where ace-8 suited probably should be. Oh wait, did he 3-bet? Yeah, ace-8 suited should check back here at a fair amount. Like this is a really, really, really good board for the defender. He just smashes this like super hard, and now we're gonna see a check raise. I personally think, you know, Nasty Nate should be checking back flop at like a very, very, very high frequency. Like this is just unfortunate. I think all the money's gonna go in, like somehow. I don't know how, but like I don't know. Something's brewing, and that's what it is. 2,500.
Wow.
And now
That's-
Nasty Nate's just like he has to fold. Oh no.
He's gonna jam it. That's why we call him Nasty Nate. Gonna run it twice.
Wow. Huge pot. I felt it. That's
All right.
brick.
First one for Dudley.
He needs to find a
And
spade. Oh no.
Dudley wins them both.
Dudley,
Dudley just
8,000.
take that, haters. Start flexing.
Huge pot.
Get the tables. As one of the long lost members of the Dudley Boys. If you guys remember that from the old WWE days.
That's a lot of chips on this table right now.
Nice one, just about the joint, like 4K. Somebody else bought some flesh draw. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Once we
it's still
3-bet
shocked.
yeah, once we 3-bet and this board comes down, it's just a super high EV board for the defender, and we need to be playing very cautiously. It's one of those spots where there's a big difference between the equity of your hand versus the EV of your range. So sometimes the equity of your hand could be very high, but the EV of your range is relatively low. And in that
great point.
situation, you have to play your range rather than your hand. So, you know, it's a spot where, of course, you can't make that big of an error because the equity of your hand is so high. But in terms of a range versus range purposes, like, we have to start playing cautiously on this board. And we kind of see why here. Like, we had such a big equity hand, but against the range of our opponent, after it begins to funnel, as we're putting bets in, our hand becomes less and less valuable.
That's. I don't know if Nate as familiar with Dudley. That check raise there is never generally just an air ball or anything. That is.
And now you could do bomb pots, is what I heard.
Yep. Yep. No, I think
That's
that's going to be the last.
That's what
game
they're
of the
trying to
stream.
do. And now
See,
you can do
that's-
bomb pots.
This looks like we're switching out decks. So if we're taking out the RFID deck, that means we have reached the end
Boom.
of TCH Live tonight. 5-5 uncapped.
What a stream.
That was interesting.
That was
Between
great.
Chris's hatred of barbecue, it's straddling. Dudley scooping a huge pot at the very end. Bart Hansen crushing live poker. The massive hand between him and Alex, ace versus ace king. There's a whole lot of good stuff and a lot of great insight here by Chris and Soto Solve for Why. Again, tv.solveforwhy.io. I believe the coupon code when you sign up is TCH Austin. That'll get you a free month to check out the content, coursework, mastermind, solve for. I was just gonna say you can get lost and all. There's so much great stuff here.
Well, that's a good thing.
Give it a look.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I was just sort of like, God, even if you had a month, you'd be like, I could get through only so much of the coursework, which is good.
Well, you get a head start with the TCH Austin
Yeah.
free month.
We appreciate you having here. Thanks again for stopping in. Good luck in the game.
Yeah, I hope I get in here. This is
All right, thank you to Carolyn, our MVP super producer, Ryan, James, everybody, there's contributions. Thank you to you, the subscriber. Smash that like button. We're going to exit stage right. Good night, everybody.
good night.